Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 300-2025, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2026 by way of resolution number 2-2026, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board. And the mayor hereby directs that the statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Clerk. Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's staying warm, dry, and safe. Welcome to the February 10th, 2026, 8 p.m. open session meeting of the Township of Teaneck Council. Township Administration present at tonight's meeting are Jacqueline Hashman, our Township Manager, Doug Roussillon on Zoom, or no, Doug Roussillon's not there. In spirit, Kristen DeNorci, our Deputy Township Clerk, Scott Salmon, our Township Attorney, Ron Goodman, our Volunteer Cable Master, Michael Ash on Zoom as our redevelopment attorney, Golden McMillan as our Township Planner. Upcoming events and council meetings. For the public's information, we are currently holding a hybrid format meeting. We have people in person and on Zoom. If our Wi-Fi municipal building has an issue where the Zoom meeting drops, we'll aim to retrieve the connection and continue the meeting. If you haven't yet signed up for the DR alerts, please do so on our website. The next regular council meeting will be on Tuesday, March 10th, starting at 6:30 p.m. with open portion beginning at 8. The 2026 budget council meetings will be held beginning not as originally listed on Tuesday, March 17th, but on Monday, March 16th, and we'll have a resolution on that for that later, or not needed. It'll be properly noticed for Monday, March 16th, and then again Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. in the council chambers. We're gonna have 2 moments of silence, or we're gonna have a moment of silence for 2 long-term township members and volunteers. Our first is Ari Lischitz. Ari was a 49-year-old that passed away that last week. He was a 25-year resident of the township, a 22-year member of the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Ari's been in this chambers on multiple occasions on awards, CPR saves, and whatnot. Our second is for Don. I'm sorry, I'm Dowman, right? Don was, but not just a longtime active Teaneck resident, but he was on the Environmental Commission for many, many years. So with that, please everyone keep their families in their prayers. Thank you, and I thank them for their years of service. Our Crossroads American Legion Redevelopment Community Forum will be on March 4th at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers. And thanking everyone who was able to attend the 2025 Ramadan celebration at the Rota Center last Thursday. The crescent moon will be lit on the municipal green until the end of Ramadan. Council met in closed session to discuss the following: personnel, contracts, zoning, affordable housing, recycling presentation, legal issues or opinions regarding any open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. And with that, we will begin our meeting. I believe we have a few changes to the agenda just based on attendance and people not able to come. See, okay, the first with 3 presentations. I don't believe any are going to be happening tonight, Chris. That's right. We'll skip the 3 presentations that are on the agenda and we'll head right into our work session items with miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything on miscellaneous? Councilman Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. For Shade Tree Advisory Board, can we please make a motion to make an amendment to add Debbie Bahar to the full member and make the other 2 the alternate members, alternate 1 and alternate 2?
I'll second that.
Okay, nodding head. Are we on the vote to move that on to the resolution?
Do I need to do a second next meeting? If they just, do we need
Okay.
to do a resolution for next meeting?
Yeah, we can do it for the next one.
Yeah, so Debbie Behar one would be on for next meeting, and then the 2 on tonight will be for alternate 1 and alternate 2.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Anyone else on miscellaneous? Old business. New business. Communications. Committee reports by council liaisons. Markers update, that would be Deputy Mayor Belcher. Let's see your name there.
Yes. We have just a basic update on the markers that have been presented previously. This is a marker that will be at the library, indicating the original funds that came through the sale of an enslaved African cabin that was in town. So we have two markers. One will be there, and then one will be at McKell Park, which is on Teaneck Road. The Most Committee has approved it. Of course, the Historic Preservation as well. One recommendation that I did see from the chair of the Most Committee was that we place the marker inside of the park, which I think is a good idea to do as well, because it's very close to the actual site itself, and it would be enclosed within a fenced area. So I'd like to proceed and make a motion to proceed forward with the markers.
So most had also asked in that email to be included on the markers, and we had also discussed taking the names of neighborhood groups off. So
Yeah.
is this,
Yes, and I think you want to explain the whole point of is that most is a would be added to the marker, and because they are an advisory board within town, and the Block Association, which is not an advisory board, would not be listed, is what you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to agree with, I was actually going to say the exact same thing. So I know that the chair most reached out to me about the same concern today as well.
Mhm. Yeah, no problem there. I'm sure that the Historic Preservation Commission would not have a problem as well. We'd like to see us progress forward with these markers that we've been
Okay.
talking about. Yes.
Do you need to vote on that? Are we looking for, sorry, are we?
I would think it would be good to
We're
vote
good?
on. Yeah, to vote on it.
Vote,
yeah.
okay, so,
I made the motion that we
and I'll
move
second
forward.
that, and please go roll call, Ms. Clerk.
With those changes though.
Yes.
Changes, yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes, with those changes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Cat, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
yes,
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much. Council listed items, snow parking emergency, Councilman Goldberg, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I know that there's been a lot of discussion about snow, and I just wanted to discuss with the council and open one of the two of the bigger complaints that I had seen from residents about is they're not sure when the snow emergency ends. And then we're also hearing, whether we need more time or the roads are too narrow. So I was looking and I saw Montclair had some, and I'd sent the ordinance to the attorney. I would like to see if council's open to changing the code to having a clear time for the residents to know when the emergency's up, with the discretion that the manager can extend it if it's necessary. Because in a storm like this, what was it, 20, how many inches? 24, 27 inches. It needed to be done. And then the other piece to it, which is what Deputy Mayor Organ suggested last meeting, and I'm not particular about how it's worked out, but it's also, during that time, some sort of a snow alternate side of the street everywhere, just so it's totally fair. Because this way, if you're thinking about safety, you have the snowbanks on the two sides and the plows can't get through, everyone's parked. It's going to take longer for the DPW and for our staff, and it's not going to keep people safe. So if council's open to changing that, and if the attorney can put something on for next meeting. Anyone thought?
do we need an ordinance for the parking?
Yeah, there's an ordinance
Yeah.
on the books now.
Yeah, we would need to change it. Change it for an ordinance, yeah.
Oh, looking for nodding heads?
Yeah.
I just want to, if we could just describe for the benefit of the public, what does that look like in terms of, where are we proposing alternate street parking?
Only during snow emergency, and I'm not particular on how that looks if someone has a preference. I just think, especially on a narrow road, when you have parking on both sides, and we're trying to clear the streets, people can't get through, they're parked on both sides because the snow emergency is lifted. We have to find something that's fair across town. So again, something easy, and I'll defer to the manager and
I don't think it's alternate side. I think it would be just one side so that cars
Well-
only park on one side, but more than just plowing. School buses can't get down the streets and emergency vehicles can't get down the streets and cars can't get down the streets. So please God, we won't have another storm like this for many years, but on the chance that we do, it might make it easier on them.
so. And like I said, I just think that the manager should have in a snow emergency, giving her the authority if she needs to handle parking regulations in one of the parking lots, or extend, giving her that. And literally, I like the language from Montclair, which is what I sent to the attorney. And if someone else has other language, I'm completely fine with it. I just think it's in the best interest of safety for the residents and the staff.
I would
Thanks.
just agree. I hear what you're saying, and I know we're trying to solve for the problem because this was a historic blizzard, and it really kind of created a lot of havoc. But I would suggest that maybe have some insight from DPW in terms of how we would progress with this, because they're the ones that are out there doing the work. So essentially, Miss Manager, I'd like to kind of like get their input as well, because we don't want to be solving for a problem that's creating a problem too.
Okay, so as mine up, I think we have nodding heads, and I think we have our marching orders. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we'll go to our township man. Nothing to report tonight, right?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council and township residents. Please be advised that as of 12 noon today, the snow emergency has been lifted and all residents must remove their vehicles from all municipal lots as soon as possible. A community meeting is scheduled for March 4th at 7 p.m. in council chambers in reference to the Crossroads project, and all are welcome to attend. Our recreation department is gearing up for another successful pool season, and we are also offering badges for pickleball and tennis courts. The Teaneck Community Pool membership registration starts on March 2nd. Please refer to our flyer for a specific list of items to bring proof of residency. NJDOT has recently updated the township that they are planning the Route 4 West Decatur Ave ramp widening project for March 2nd. This ramp will be closed during construction and detours will be in place. I will start notifications to everyone later this week. Holy Name Medical Center will be hosting a File of Life event at Teaneck Township Hall parking lot on Tuesday, April 21st from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Residents are welcome to visit their mobile education lab to learn about the File for Life card and receive a card and magnet. No registration is required. Due to the increase in winter weather, our Walk for Wellness program will be postponed by 2 weeks. So it will now begin on Sunday, March 15th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Some project updates I have for you. The Bell Avenue Bioswales, the construction will start the first week of March. The Brooks Park Exercise Station, we poured concrete on January 22nd. Forms were removed and saw cutting has been completed. The Brooks Park restrooms, the bids were opened on February 10th, and apparent lowest bidder is Develop Builders with a total bid of $307,373, and we are waiting on the award of contract. Maple Avenue improvements, the punch list is remaining up until the spring. Briggs, Van Buren, and Herrick, the project is out to bid, and the bids will be opened on March 3rd. Livingston Place and Clinton Place main sewer replacement. The pre-construction meeting was held on January 13th, and our construction is scheduled to begin March 2026. Some general updates. So we received an inquiry in reference to the parking enforcement on West Englewood Avenue, to which I was informed since January 1st, 109 tickets have been issued for parking violations. The police department will continue to monitor the area. Our 2026 municipal operating budget is scheduled for presentation on March 16th instead of March 17th. A formal congratulations to Andrew Fisher, our MIS IT director. This evening, we will adopt an ordinance adding his title as a department head for the Township of Teaneck. Andrew is very self-motivated supervisor and always available and willing to help all of our departments. So I just wanted to mention a congratulations to him for joining our team of department heads. Now on to the blizzard that we've all experienced. The blizzard of 2026 brought some historic and record-breaking snowfall to Teaneck with approximately 27 inches accumulating.
I'm sorry, Andrew, I know you're about to make an important speech, but I believe there's a volume button so no one can hear you outside of the 20 people in this room. So
Oh,
just give it
I will
1
wait a
second.
moment.
This is Ron around.
I hear her perfectly.
You can, what are you on? I'm sorry.
I'm on Zoom. I hear her perfectly.
Panels should
It
not
might
be
be the-
different.
Maybe it's the cable. Maybe it's the cable channel.
Oh, they probably. I think it's the only person on the cable. I don't think we have a cable. Okay, so let's,
I guess-
let's, if, as long as the Zoom is working, I think that we'll continue. that.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So back to our snowfall, the last 48 hours here in Teaneck, we received about 27 inches of accumulating snow across our community, creating extremely challenging conditions for emergency response and snow removal operations. During the storm, we spread 870 tons of salt, and the Teaneck Police Department issued 402 snow ordinance tickets, which ultimately means that residents remove their vehicles from the roadway to allow plowing operations to proceed safely and efficiently. And for that cooperation, we truly appreciate your cooperation. What was I going to say? Next, I wanted to mention, I'm sorry. Our storm team entered this event fully prepared. We pre-salted all of our roads. Our fleet was 100% ready, and our manpower was truly committed. However, as previously reported, the township continues to operate with an aging fleet, and we experienced multiple breakdowns throughout the storm, to include 8 large plow trucks, and along with 10 additional winter operation trucks that are now sidelined and not operational. On behalf of myself and the Township Council, we extend our sincere appreciation to our DPW staff who have worked tirelessly in 12-hour shifts and around the clock since the storm began. They are still committed to serving our residents and are still working this evening to serve us. We also recognize the disappointment and frustration many residents have expressed through emails and social media. We hear those concerns, we take ownership of the challenges experienced, and we are actively meeting with our management team to evaluate and strengthen our winter operations. We thank all of you for your patience as we regroup and develop a long-term plan to address our fleet, much of which is over 20 years old. And we plan to responsibly replace this fleet with responsible budgeting over the next few years. That is all I have for you, Mayor.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that, Mrs. Manager. You're 100% right. This was truly a historic blizzard. Some like I can't remember the last, maybe the 1990s or something that we saw something similar. One thing that I would just recommend is, as we're looking to improve our equipment, which to your point is like 20 years old, our equipment is capital equipment is very aged. One of the things that I would think in terms of residents being responded to or having issues in terms of their streets haven't been plowed or salted or whatever, that I would recommend that we set up like a simple like Google form where residents could simply just go to the form and complete it with basic information about their street location and the condition. And so it would create like an Excel spreadsheet for the DPW team to really kind of like divvy up the work. So if I have 4 nodding heads, perhaps we could do that, or we could proceed with something like that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's something the manager can handle? Is that?
Yeah, I think the manager can, and then we have the IT department now can also chime in, I'm sure.
Okay. Anybody else? With that, township attorneys report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have a couple things. First, ordinance 1220-2026 is currently on the agenda. It's up for adoption. It involves recovery of fire department related costs and expenses. We've received some questions about the types of insurance that can be billed under this ordinance. The purpose of the ordinance is to allow the township to bill auto insurance. So I'm asking the council to amend this ordinance before adoption, change all references from insurance to say auto insurance. It's not a substantive change. It's just it's what the ordinance already does. It's just clarifying it for anybody that has any specific questions about that. The second thing is there's also on the agenda is ordinance 16-2026. This is the Crossroads redevelopment plan. There are 2 amendments that we're asking to be made to that. The first, the 2 of them are related. The first is on page 26 of the redevelopment plan. It sets the minimum front setback it says from 15 feet from the curb line related to Beverly Road. We want to change that to 10 feet from Beverly Road. The reason for this is to make it consistent with the language, the wording of everything else. By removing from the phrase from the curb line, it's making it from the property line. So it removes the sidewalk portion. So the end result is the same, or the net result is the same, where it's still going to be the same distance away. But it removes the sidewalk from it and just makes it consistent with the way the other sections or setbacks are worded. And then second, on page 58, we're proposing to remove the definition for curb line because we're changing it there. We don't need the definition of curb line anymore. And again, doesn't actually change anything in practice. It's just changing the phrasing, the wording of it, be consistent with everything else. Additionally, there are several resolutions that I'm be asking the council to walk on tonight. They're not currently on the agenda. I want to apologize for this. It's not something we like doing, throwing things on the agenda at the last second. Obviously pretty rare, but sometimes it is necessary to respond to developing events. The two things are, the first is a resolution to hire Colliers Engineering as traffic engineering and planning consultants. Back on February 12th, we received a traffic study from Crossroads which is one of the things that they're obligated to do under our settlement agreements. We want to have that their study evaluated by an independent traffic engineer. So we're proposing to hire Colliers Engineering to do so. Colliers previously had a contract with the township that expired. We didn't realize that. I thought it was still good, so we didn't realize that until yesterday. And so because the contract expired, we need to renew it to have them prepare this analysis. Colliers has informed us they can have that analysis for us by Friday. So that way the council and the public will have it long before the Crossroads redevelopment plan is up for adoption. Ultimately, this will not actually cost the township anything. It's going to be paid out of Crossroads escrow. But we do need to formally hire them. And so I'm asking the council to walk that resolution on. And the second one is a resolution to hire or retain a law firm known as Hanrahan Pack. Township is dealing with some newly filed litigation right now. We would like to bring in some additional help before our responsive pleadings are due in a couple weeks. Hanrahan Pack has done work for the township previously. They're excellent municipal lawyers, litigators. They're very familiar with the township. And we just do it because of timing of when we need to get our answers filed with court. That's why we're walking this on, or we're asking the council to walk this on. That's all I have for tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Attorney. We're going to head to the part of the meeting, public hearing and adoption of ordinances. I learned something at the last meeting that there were some people waiting to hear something that ultimately wasn't heard. So just want to review what we're hearing tonight. So if there's something you're interested in hearing, and I know we have some neighbors from West Englewood, which is not on tonight, I just want to say it. I don't know if there's any more of these cheat sheets down there. We are, for this public hearing, which the clerk will read, we're going to be discussing the MIS department. We're going to be discussing heating requirements, a parking restriction on Fort Lee Road, and the auto insurance bill for the fire department, as well as bonding. As at the end of the night, we'll be having introductions on two related matters. One is the American Legion Drive, which I believe most people are here for that. And the second matter is the overall Fair Housing Act ordinance that we want to pass. A general would be the word, right? Would that be a fair statement? General. So if there is something that you thought was going to be heard tonight, and I didn't mention it, it will not be heard. You're more than welcome to stay. We encourage you staying. But if you do need to leave, by all means, absolutely, please do. We have many more meetings coming up, and some of the other zoning matters will be heard at those meetings. But as of now, everything listed will be heard. With that, Ms. Clerk, please go ahead and read the titles of the ordinances into the record ahead of our hearing.
Okay, so we have 5 up for public hearing and adoption. So ordinance 4-2026, amending the township code for the township of Teaneck to create a Department of Management Information Systems and Information Technology. Ordinance 9-2026 is amending the township code for the township of Teaneck as to heating requirements for residential properties. Ordinance 11-2026 is amending the township code to revise no parking restrictions on Fort Lee Road. Ordinance 12-2026 is establishing certain recovery of the fire department related costs and expenses. And ordinance 13-2026 amending and restating in its entirety bond ordinance number 22-2025, finally adopted by the Township Council of the Township of Teaneck and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey on May 20th, 2025, and entitled Bond Ordinance Providing for Various 2025 Capital Improvements by and in the Township of Teaneck, in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appropriating $12,350,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $11,687,100 bonds or notes of the Township of Teaneck to finance part of the cost thereof, to decrease the authorization of bonds or notes of the Township of Teaneck therein to $10,518,450, to decrease the down payment therein to $553,749, to increase the grants therein to $1,242,801, and to amend the description of the grants referenced in section 1A, B, and C, and other provisions therein.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the hearing, Mr. Attorney, can you confirm the voting numbers needed, the yes votes needed for each of the ordinances? And if it fails, does it get reheard? How would that work?
So we have 6 members that are here, that are present from the council. So anything would need 4 votes, a majority of those who are present.
The bond ordinance as well?
I'm sorry. Oh no, sorry. But bond ordinance is a majority, so that that would still actually no, that would still need 4. That would still need 4. I think that the math. Let me double check my math on that.
Okay.
Without 6 here.
CFO had mentioned 5 for the bond.
Was that?
Isa had
Did
mentioned.
he? Let me just double check
Okay.
that here. 1 second.
And if it is, please let us know what happens. Fails the next process on.
You know, that does still require 5 votes. Yeah, for the bond. Yeah.
If it's tabled and gets 5, it passes. If it's read now, voted on now, and it only gets 2, 3, 4, what happens?
Then if it fails, then we need to be reintroduced at a subsequent meeting.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to table 13/20/26 until the next meeting.
Who's that? I'll second that for the purpose of the vote. I don't know how it's voted. Okay. Tabling needs 4? Sorry. Okay.
Yes, correct.
You want to move it to March 10th?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Goldberg,
No.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes to tabling.
Councilwoman G,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
That's 4 already. Yes.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So we'll open up the hearing on 4 ordinances, not the bonding. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to testify on these 4 only? Dr. Yuck, please.
Good evening, council. I first want to thank you all for the hard work that you're doing, so I don't have to thank you during my good and welfare 3 minutes. I'm not going to speak very long. I'm concerned about I have a question about the fire ordinance. I'm in favor of that ordinance. I don't have a problem with you billing insurance and billing people whose insurance doesn't pay. However, I think the question I have is why. I read the ordinance. I didn't see, unless I misread it, I didn't see that Teaneck residents won't be personally billed, or their insurance for that matter, because, you know, insurance rates go up and the more the insurance company has to pay. Although on comprehensive, if that's what it would be on, I'm not sure that that's the case. But I think that Teaneck residents should be exempt. We pay taxes for the fire department. And so we should be exempt from that. If someone lives outside of town, bill them, but don't bill us. Thank you.
Anybody else on these ordinances? Seeing no hands, Mr. Cable Master. Anyone on Zoom?
Let me see here. There's a hand up, but it's been up since the beginning of the meeting, so
Okay.
we could try.
Okay.
Nope, the hand went down. Oh,
Down,
now
okay.
it's up.
Seeing no other hands?
Hang on.
Sorry?
Yeah, Frankel.
Sorry?
Corey Frankel.
Hello.
You have 3 minutes if you want to speak on these 3 or 4 ordinances.
Just to be clear, this is not including the item that was added to the agenda today regarding the emergency snow.
No.
This is not including those
Nothing.
items.
No, not including
Okay,
that.
then no.
Okay. Seeing no other hands, this meeting is now closed.
We do need a motion to amend the fire.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to amend to the auto insurance only under the fire ordinance. If there's a second,
Second.
okay, roll call, please.
Wait, can I ask a question? So I'm looking at the ordinance right now and hazardous material and fire watch are not specific to automobiles. So how would that work? How would we amend it there?
The
It would be a hazardous material at an auto.
But that's not what it says. That's my point. Like it doesn't even come close to saying that. Scott, it's on page
I'm reading.
35.
We can make the changes so it's specific to the, I'm sorry, hold on. I'm finding the right section here. So I think the way to change this is in section 16-18. The following fees and costs shall be charged invoice to the user's insurance company. And then we can put in parentheses, in case of motor vehicle accidents, to the auto insurance company.
It's not a de minimis change at this point.
I mean, it's the whole point of that is specifically for everything else is that it's for motor vehicles. So just
Okay,
clarify
but
it's for.
it's not saying that at all. Like I mean, as it.
That's the auto insurance company is the only insurance company that would have for motor vehicles.
I think
I-
what he's saying is that, I understand your concerns. He's saying is that we're only billing the auto insurance. So if the auto insurance says this isn't covered, it's not covered. If it's to bill for a door that fell off in the building, it's not covered under auto. But I understand your concerns. But
Then why are there fees for fire watch for $150 an hour?
So that's
Firewatch would be something like, if you wanted to have a party in Voti Park with fireworks, we do charge you for that. That's a given. The fire department has to be there, just like on Teaneck Day, from the moment that the fireworks are delivered. If somebody chooses to have an event like that, that would be a Firewatch.
I understand that, but we're telling people that it's only automobile insurance, but it's not. So if
That
we
wouldn't
have
be
to
billed
amend
through
it,
insurance. That would just be a charge.
right? But people are, but what Dr. Yuck just said is that, if we're saying that it's only to the insurance, which that's not, we're billing residents where they already pay taxes for the fire department. I understand what you're trying to say, but I just think it's mixed messaging. I think that if the hazardous material is supposed to be for automobiles, then specify it. If it's not, then specify the fire watch is for everybody and that residents are going to get billed. It's not clear. I think it should be.
so are you saying that you're comfortable with it? But I think what.
Oh, no, I think the whole thing, I think there's a problem with the whole thing, but it's not even doing what people are saying it's doing.
So you're not voting for it?
C is Firewatch is just it's a schedule of fees. So that fee is not under insurance. It's a fee for using the fire department if you're having an event. That has nothing to do with insurance.
We're telling people that it's only for insurance.
So he's correcting it. What she's saying is that they're added to the schedule. If you require fire watch for fireworks or any event that we bill, then they can charge $150. Are you more comfortable if that gets removed and added to another ordinance subject fire fees for fire watch? Are you more comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with just that without the rest. I'm not comfortable with anything because it's going to raise everyone's premium.
All right. So Mr. Attorney, do we want to introduce and take that from the ordinance as it relates to fire watch? Make a new ordinance on that? Or do, if there's a motion on the table, we'll vote as is? I would do whatever the council wants to do.
If we want to do that, then we would need to reintroduce the whole thing. That wouldn't be.
So I'll look at the dais now. Deputy Mayor, are you ready to vote?
Yeah, I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Are you ready to vote or you're in? Always ready to vote. Ready to vote? Okay, so we have a roll call. We have, it was a motion, there was a second. There was a change that I believe was already approved, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's go roll call with the change of the word and the word auto insurance. And then that's going to be on number sorry, that's 13, sorry, that's 12, and then we can pull the roll call on each one, however you want.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
No.
Councilman Pagan,
No.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
I abstain.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
And
I'm sorry. 3-2, does not pass.
the motion doesn't pass.
Okay.
So the ordinance is going to be as is
Yeah.
to be voted on.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll do, we'll do one by, let's do all, and then people can make their changes on all, roll call for all ordinances.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Now for,
Everything,
for everything.
4, 9, 11, 12, and 13.
okay, so,
No,
yeah,
13, I'm sorry, no, 13, I apologize, 4, 9, 11, 12.
all right, so no to 12 and then yes to 4, 9, and 11. But no to 12.
Okay. Councilman Pagan,
Madam Clerk, I'm a yes on number 4, yes on number 9, yes on number 11, no on number 12.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
I'm a yes on all and an abstaining on 12.
okay. Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes to all.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes to all.
Did it pass or fail?
Fortunately failed, and we'll continue to eat the cost of going to the highway 5 times a day. Okay, and tell us, Ms. Clerk, tell them when you're ready.
You can go.
You're up? Okay. Open to good and welfare. There's 3 minutes to anything on the agenda. I do want to start by just briefly saying, echoing the manager's words. People wanted their snow removed. We didn't deliver. We can come up with all the answers. We know the answers. We have many good reasons. Ultimately, people want the snow removed. I've heard from many people throughout the day. I have the biggest mouth on the dais, and therefore it is my mouth to say, I'm sorry. People pay taxes. People want want the snow removed. It could be a blizzard. They want to go to work. It could be a blizzard. They want to go to school. You put your trust and, more importantly, or just as important, your money into this township's pockets, and the township into their budget. I apologize. And the township didn't deliver that. Whether or not the reasons were good, bad, it was ugly. For that, we will continue to try to strive to make sure it's done. For those who got it done late, we apologize for the delay. For those who are still waiting for services, we continue to thank you for your patience. We will all collectively as a town keep trying to do better and better. With that, I call on anyone in the room to first come to good and welfare. After that, we'll go to Zoom. Anybody in the audience that'd like to speak? Ms. Eliyahu.
Thank you. Good evening, one and all. Debbie Eliyahu, Teaneck resident. I have a bunch of questions about crossroads, not crosswords. Pretty good at those. First one is about Colliers. Are they going to be reviewing the traffic study that Crossroads did? Or are they going to, I understand if it's going to be done by Friday, if I understand correctly, which I may not. If there are deficiencies including in the methodology, what is Plan B? The second thing is, when at the planning board, Mayor Schwartz, you said that you intimated that because I'm a quarter of a mile away from the development, it's irrelevant, the issue of traffic. I'm retired. I can sit in my driveway for 10 hours and wait till traffic opens up. The issue that I was trying to bring out is that Garrison Avenue, all along it, is a feeder for one of the very few ways to get over the over Route 4 to the other side of town. So that's going to be an issue for anybody who wants to go over that overpass, or for people who want to get onto Route 4, or people who want to get to Lowell School. There are a lot of buses that go down Standish. Even the people who walk their kids to school in bad weather, they don't. So the school rush hour, it's traffic is backed up there even now. So adding a lot of more cars is just going to make it more backed up. And I don't care. I'm telling you, retired can sit in the driveway. Don't care. Another thing is, you said about the pipes carrying the water from the development at Beverly. The pipes already exist under Cedar Lane, but would be extended. First of all, who would pay for that extension? To where would they be extended, and where would they empty? Because they got to empty somewhere. And are the recipients of the water in agreement with the plan? So that's one concern. And the last thing is commuter mass transit. Now, the letter that I have is from mid-2019, so it's not many, many years ago. And one of the things it says is that statewide, there's no new ability, especially till there's a new Port Authority building. That is from Paul Wyckoff, who was the CEO of New Jersey Transit commuting facilities. So unless there's a new Port Authority building, there's no new ability for commuter.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
And stay safe.
Anybody else in the room like to speak? Dr. Yuck again. Welcome back, Doctor.
Speak fast.
Oh, no, you have your 3 minutes. Take your time.
Phil Yoke, Teaneck resident. First of all, kudos go out to Councilman Pagan for abstaining from the vote on 54 West Englewood because of having received a small campaign donation from the owner and developer of that property. Thank you for doing the right thing. Now on to Ordinance 16, 2026, that we in the public call the Crossroads Project. Most people who are familiar with how this AINR came to be believe it was done corruptly because it was Crossroads Vice President, now the President of Crossroads, under the guise of being the President of a Crossroads subsidiary company, who investigated the Stop and Shop supermarket and recommended that the prior council declare it to be an area in need of redevelopment. The rest is a history that all current council members are familiar with. So how do we right a wrong that is now coming to the time of reckoning? When our children do something wrong, do we reward them? Of course not. By the same token, should we be rewarding Crossroads by relinquishing our municipal property and approving massive development in the center of town so they can profit handsomely? I say no to that, and I believe that the vast majority of residents would agree, regardless of what some on the council might say. We are being told that we must approve this redevelopment plan, or else the developer can sue the town for builder's remedy, and that would result in a devastating outcome. We are told that the state is mandating that we approve this plan. What the council must do is make the right decision for our town on a project that will affect all residents in multiple ways for years and decades to come. Quite frankly, I have come to realize that builder's remedy might actually be the better option for the entire town that will be impacted should this redevelopment proceed as planned. We are told that the council has the fiduciary responsibility to protect the residents who pay taxes. That is absolutely true. But the council also has a responsibility to protect the town and its residents from other potentially negative outcomes, such as overdensity, pollution, excessive traffic, and others. This development, if approved, will create 100 years of consequences. There are many reasons why builder's remedy might be a better option. It can't be worse than what Crossroads is proposing. I am happy to have that discussion with anybody when I have more than 3 minutes. There will be no pilot, and even if approved, no pilot should ever be awarded. And the Beverly Road portion will potentially become optional. We need to scrap this redevelopment plan, start from scratch, and think out of the box for more creative solutions to our affordable housing requirements and the beautification of our business districts without adversely affecting existing homeowners, even if more difficult than simply slapping up apartment blocks and parking garages wherever there is leftover open space in town. I implore you to please vote no on this development plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Young. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Susan Mayer, Teaneck resident. I understand the pressure that Teaneck and the council is under in order to meet the March 15th state affordable housing deadline. That being said, it appears that Teaneck has haphazardly approved one-off development proposals in several parts of town, including Crossroads. Despite a master planning project which took over a year and involved the input of many residents, none of the developments proposed, including the Crossroads plan, adhere to the vision the master plan proposed for this town. That is, to maintain our suburban character, revitalize our business districts, build low-density housing, preserve green space, among other things. There are many unresolved issues with the Crossroads plan that have not yet been addressed. Flooding, traffic. Yes, there was a traffic study. Interestingly, it was conducted the day after Rosh Hashanah. I just want to point that out. Noise, emergency services, school impact, utilities, the CSX, and adequate farmer market space. I believe that there are ways to create affordable housing, preserve the suburban character of Teaneck, support a vibrant Main Street, all of which are part of the most recent master plan, and this Crossroads thing is not it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Disler and then Ms. Lazarus.
Judy Disler, 58 years in Teaneck. I'm tired. I'm sorry I'm coming to this late, but I believe I'm part of the neighborhood that will be negatively impacted by this building, and I don't live in the immediate area. This was a town that was committed to diversity of housing, to protecting the green belt. What are we doing? Take a look at Hackensack. Take a look at any of these towns where these huge apartment houses are going up right on top of the sidewalks. We moved to a town, not to a city, and it behooves you to remember that and to realize that people are not in favor of this. There has to be a more creative solution. What about Cedar Lane? You think this will save Cedar Lane? There's nothing there to be saved right now except maybe the movie theater. And that horrible whatever it is that's been up there for a year and a half that nobody seems to know what they're doing. At least they didn't know when I called. I don't know what they're fixing or why it's there. But this will add traffic. Parking garage, I don't want to park in a parking garage. How many people in this town are about my age who don't want to park in a parking garage, yet you're eliminating parking? I can't believe that there isn't someone out there who can come up with something with mixed-use development, or maybe there could be tax breaks for people, landlords of existing buildings as people move out to make more affordable units in what we already have. Please don't turn us into an overcrowded city. It's not what we want.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am, I forgot your name. Did you want to speak? I know you have a child. Do you want to speak so in case she has to go? Sorry, I just want to see if you want to go first. You can come back.
Bit taller here. Diana Peralta. I am a 6-year resident here in Teaneck. I did not prepare anything as eloquently as some of my neighbors have, and I appreciate everyone who's here, especially if you do not know me. I'm over at West Englewood Avenue. I am here with my 3.5-year-old daughter who is past her curfew and bedtime, of course. And I do this to some extent intentionally so she can see what our council is like, what democracy is like, what standing up for what you believe in is like. And God willing, she'll be standing here in front of you someday on the better side of things. I mostly am paying attention to 54, that's her phone, that's my daughter's phone. 54 West Englewood Avenue. And I think it was 1387 Hill Avenue. If I have the address wrong, please forgive me. I am also against any of the massive buildings that are going up here in Teaneck. I was here at the planning meeting a week ago mentioning and pointing out that my daughter walks safely through the town because it is not overly populated, because our sidewalks are wide. And just to hear that some of these developments will be taking away sidewalks in which from the day she was born, I've been able to walk through the streets at all kinds of hours, has been the reason why I live in Teaneck, the reason why I stay in Teaneck, the reason why I moved from the big city into Teaneck. There were obviously plenty of places a commuter can move into, but Teaneck had its highlights. The town folk, the small community, all the beautiful historic sites that are here that we enjoy on a daily basis. I'd love to speak to some of the issues with the snow and being able to get to school in the morning. She is at the Telk Center on the other side of town on Maiden Lane, and that just is very complicated. The snow isn't plowed very well on that side, and obviously makes it complicated when you're cutting from West Englewood over. The traffic is ridiculous. In having such short time to, again, address the issues of putting up a 4 or 5-story building in a very small populated area to now bring another 60, 80, 90 units in that area with all the cars. Thankfully, my neighbors decided to move their cars this week. However, there is still mountains of snow in front of our properties, even on the sidewalks that don't have parking at the moment, and people are moving their cars as the issuance was allowed to, people were allowed to bring their cars back into town and to park on the sidewalks. I would just like you to reconsider. We, myself and Dream, her name is Dream, will be here at the following meetings in order to be able to speak our voice and our minds in regards to all these issues. Thank you.
Anyone, Mr. Lazarus? I got your name this time.
Not quite. Lazaroff.
Lazarus, Robert.
Hello. Robert Lazaroff. I live on Beatrice Street. Folks moved to Teaneck for many reasons, one of which is the promise of open space. Driving down Route 4, a visitor's first impression of Teaneck is the Greenbelt. And the idea of a Greenbelt has helped define our town. Teaneck is a first-ring suburb of NYC. The houses can be close together, but there is open space. Built recently, the Avalon Luxury Apartments set back on Windsor Road upholds this promise of open space with acres of greenery and trees in front of it. The face of the Avalon is ways away from the single-family homes on the other side of Windsor. In fact, driving down Windsor, you'd hardly know the complex is there. There's an expanse of green, another proverbial green belt, separating the Avalon from the single-family homes nearby. Not so for the proposed crossroads. What Crossroads represents is the opposite of a green belt. It's a cement belt. The luxury apartment buildings constructed over multi-story garages are to be wedged into what now are open parking lots, and as we learned earlier tonight, a mere 10 feet from the curb. And after 3+ years of meetings, members of town council have yet to convince residents that this Crossroads debacle is a way forward. Members of this town council continue to paint all of us who speak up against the project as ones who don't want change, who want to live in the past. We are all for change, the right change. We'd love to see Cedar Lane itself designated an area in need of redevelopment and apartments built right on the main street of town. It is Cedar Lane where attention needs to be paid, where change needs to happen, not the residential streets behind it. What the parking lots represent to those living nearby is not a paved paradise, as Joni Mitchell once sang. But you can look up from the open parking lots and see the sky, see the clouds. You can live in not just the promise, but the reality of open space in residential neighborhoods in Teaneck, abutting Cedar Lane. This Crossroads project denies us all of that. In Herman Melville's Moby Dick, Captain Ahab is monomaniacal in his determination to kill the mighty whale. All the sailors on the Pequod keep trying to reason with Ahab, beg him to give up his folly, but Ahab is resolute. Nothing is going to stand in his way. For Ahab, it's kill the whale, kill the whale. For us, the residents of Teaneck, we feel kinship to the sailors on the Pequod. Members of this town council, like Captain Ahab a century and a half ago, are hell-bent on a misadventure. They are monomaniacal in wanting this misguided Crossroads project fulfilled and use the fear of not complying as the compelling reason. And the chorus of Teaneck residents continue to stand up and speak meeting after meeting that no one wants this.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Anaida Gazimian, Teaneck resident. I am, of course, very concerned about the Crossroads development. My children attend school on Chestnut Avenue, and it is already a challenge navigating our way there every morning. And with this development, there is undoubtedly many concerns with traffic, with parking, and all the things that a giant building built there would bring. My larger concern is the way in which the council has gone about certain things and certain changes with the town zoning proposals. And your ordinance number 15, 2026, amending the development regulations for the town, are seemingly a blanket permission for the town to rezone areas in ways that are not consistent with the master plan, in ways that are not consistent with the due processes that such changes require, and are certainly not consistent with the wishes of the residents. As many of my neighbors stated today, we are Teaneck residents by choice. Many of us have moved from the city because we were looking for a different kind of lifestyle, a small town feel, something that the master plan was intended to guarantee its resident. So with these resolutions and ordinances and changes, it seems that the town is willfully neglecting the existing residents because of the state mandates and certain requirements that the town has failed to meet yet. Now, as other residents proposed, there may have been other creative solutions, or not creative solutions, but other solutions that the town has not made provisions for over the years. And now with the deadline looming, March 15th, we're supposed to deliver a certain number of affordable housing units. It definitely seems like there are certain changes that are just swept in under the pretense of delivering certain requirements and meeting certain requirements. Again, all done at the expense of the existing residents who have very valid concerns about our way of life that we chose and that we bought into when we became Teaneck residents, the reason that we pay taxes to Teaneck and choose to continue residing here. So I'm very concerned regarding these ordinances, and I know it's not on the agenda today, but there was a settlement discussed on the January 6th meeting, I believe. That was one of those rezoning concerns that the council is planning to deliberate and deliver a decision on March 10th. So again, my concerns are with the way that the council has addressed certain things and in not keeping their residents informed and following the due procedures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Rose?
Howard Rose, 45-year resident of Teaneck. I speak from the perspective of several areas. I have a business on Cedar Lane. My bookstore is there for a quarter century. I have a home in Teaneck, been living there for about 45 years, same dwelling the whole time. I have some credentials in terms of community service, having been on the planning board for 17 years, having been on the Board of Education as a trustee for 9 years. I look upon what's going on regarding these areas in need of redevelopment and specifically crossroads roads as something that has been evidenced at every meeting by the people who come to meetings as it's not something we want. I think Crossroads is a private business that can do a very good job in putting up a building that we just don't want. And that's the essence of the situation. I'm keeping it very simple. I'm not going to quote laws or space or parking or traffic flow. It's just not wanted. I want the Teaneck that I know. I'm not ashamed of saying that. Are we becoming Hackensack East or Englewood West? I want us to remain Teaneck. We're different. We should stay that way. And for good reason. It's what gives us the greatest comfort as we live here, as community members. I know you hear us at every meeting, and the consistency has been thick in terms of what people have been saying. You hear us. And as I said at the last meeting, please listen.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Paula, anybody else? Status, you go next.
Paula Rogovan. I live near the proposed Crossroads plan, 2 short blocks from the CSX rail line, a freight line that carries extremely hazardous materials. In 2013, trains carrying volatile Bakken crude oil in La Mégantic, Quebec, exploded like a bomb and killed 47 children and adults. Here in New Jersey, we organized for rail safety so we could prevent such tragedies. Finally, after 11 years, we got the state legislature to pass a hazmat rail safety law. In the process, we learned a lot about rail safety. On December 9th, when an engineer from Crossroads reported on their drainage proposal for Crossroads, he referred to Norfolk Southern. I knew at that moment that Crossroads, neither Crossroads nor the Township of Teaneck had consulted with CSX, who has controlled this portion of the railroad since 1999. Developers, towns cannot simply do what Crossroads proposed, send waters from the north of Cedar Lane, under Cedar Lane, through an American Legion Drive, then out into the swale next to the CSX tracks near Kip Street. Every development needs flood mitigation approvals from the NJ Department of Environmental Protection, and this one from the Bergen County and CSX. And by the way, the water in the swale at Kip Street continues on into Bogota, where there are major floods at Elm and River Road. How can anyone trust Crossroads or town council members who would promote this Crossroads plan, a plan that would cause major traffic, parking, flooding, pollution, and could also destabilize the tracks and trains and potentially harm rail workers and many thousands of us in Teaneck and beyond? The Crossroads plan is irresponsible in so many ways. Let me read part of this letter that was sent last night to all of you council members. It's from Rail Workers United, who are active rail workers from CSX and other rail lines. RWU has supported our fight for rail safety legislation and has spoken in person and remotely at our yearly rallies to remember the victims of La Mégantic. To the Teaneck Township Council, it has come to the attention of Rail Workers United that a potentially dangerous development project could be in the works for the Township of Teaneck. I'm going to skip reading it because I see my time is going, but they are very worried that any water getting sent into the swale could destabilize the trains and the tracks. It would be a shame if council members refuse to listen to the voices of Teaneck residents and vote tonight, even to hold a hearing on this ordinance. We urge you to vote no tonight.
Thank you, Paul.
Vote no.
Thank you, Paul. Mr. Addison?
Good evening, Council. Ray Addison, Teaneck resident. I don't live on that side of town. However, I am here to voice my opinion that the project that's being proposed over there is probably, from a business perspective, for Crossroads, is good. But for the Teaneck residents, it's not something that they want. And I agree with the gentleman who said that the building that they're putting in might be new, but you don't need to put a building like that there. You need to repair, redevelop Cedar Lane. Cedar Lane is an area in need of redevelopment. Yes, build it and they will come. However, the monies that you will be getting from the tenants there will not be spent in Teaneck. Teaneck on Cedar Lane has nothing to offer. We would want to turn our money over in our area, and that's not happening on Cedar Lane. From a business perspective, again, I respect the fact that Crossroad has perspective to put a building there to meet, for Teaneck to meet their requirements by the state. But let's not put a square peg in a round hole or a round peg in a square hole. Listen to the residents, because the future of Teaneck and its beauty depends on what you as a council people do.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is D. Alonso. I'm a Teaneck resident. My name is D. Alonso. I'm a Teaneck resident. I own property right on West Englewood Avenue, where there's a proposed build out for 54 West Englewood Avenue. And I'm originally a New Yorker, born and raised from the Bronx. And I moved out to Jersey looking for some quiet solitude, what a small town offers. And it just amazes me how, when it comes to redevelopment and having to fulfill state mandates for affordable housing, we're always talking about big residential buildings that take away from the integrity of a small communities. In the Bronx, where I'm from, actually, for small housings, they developed a lot of small family houses, 2-3 family houses, and they maintained the integrity in those areas of fulfilling what the state wanted, and it wasn't always about big developments. Now, we know when big developers come on in, they start throwing their money around and pushing their friendships and everything around, and it becomes profitable for other people, but not for the residents. So I don't know exactly the best way to say this, but there's alternatives to having to fulfill the state mandates for affordable housings. And in what way can we discuss that and not always have to be something that takes away from the small towns and the small community? Now, I'm not born in Teaneck. My daughter is. My wife and I, we all live here now. We've been living here for the past 8 years, and we've been enjoying living in Teaneck. And knowing what comes in from big developments coming in from the city waves where I'm originally from, that's everything we try to escape from, and not saying that it's guaranteed that that's what it's going to be, but the noise, the congestions, you lose a certain element when you have this big developers coming on in. So all I want to say is there different options aside from always building up and building big? You have to fulfill state mandates for affordable housings, but can we think of other things that can be an option aside from always taking away from the integrity of a small town?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brown, you go next. We start to visit Bob? Christine, you talk, or is it on?
Yeah,
no, okay.
He didn't go over 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Susan Schultz. I want to talk about a couple of things. One is Crossroads. I agree with everybody who's come up here who's telling you about the concerns and their quality of life, about the traffic, about the runoff of the water. And I hope that you hear it, that you really hear it. It's been meeting after meeting after meeting that residents have come out here. And he had great suggestions about other ways of looking for affordable housing. And I hope that you take the time. I know you're under a crunch now, but we've had years, and we've also been out here for years saying this is not what we want, to look for alternatives. The second thing that I want to discuss is the snow. And I know that you're proposing the idea of having alternative parking. Where I live, I'm on Oakdean. And I understand that there's so much snow out there that it's hard to move it. I'm not complaining about that, but I can't even imagine having parking on one side. There's basically one lane that's open. And the idea of having parking on one side, it would be closed up. Even the idea of closing down the municipal parking for residents didn't make sense to me because there's not enough parking on the street. Thank you.
Mr. Brown? Anybody else?
Chris Brown, Bell Avenue. So there's a plethora of reasons to be opposed to this project, as many people have stated tonight and will continue to. I live across the street from the, the north site in the redevelopment plan. And I'm going to be dealing with all the externalities, construction, more windows that I'm going to be looking at through my living room, traffic, all of the negative externalities that we're talking about tonight. I'm going to have to live through that from construction on. However, as we've been stating, my first time being here was because I lost a car in a flood. Beverly Road, Beatrice, Bell, floods. We have a flooding issue. And for what it's all worth, the redevelopment plan does state in section O, page 358 of 380 something pages, section O, that at the very, there's that 10 to 15% reduction, or at the very least, improving or increasing stormwater flow subject to sign off by the township engineer. That's good. It's a step in the right direction. But that is on you all as council people to negotiate a redevelopment agreement that would put all that in. So that onus is on you all. We really have to keep their feet to the fire on that specific issue. Because if not, it's going to have a negative impact on that street. You're putting a building in a parking lot, it floods during Ida, water is in the parking lot, you're putting a building there, all that water is now displaced onto the street. So you have to improve the drainage situation on that site. I'm running out of time, so there's just one specific other issue that I want you all to consider. I'd like you all to consider before this is going on first reading. If you look at the bulk standards, there's that 15 feet from the curb line language. That doesn't work because of the way that it correlates with the church. If you look on Google Earth, just doing the math, I think it's like a 15 or 20-foot step back from the property line. So if you have a 15-foot or a 10-foot, whatever, from the 15-foot setback from the curb line or 10-foot setback from the property line, you're going to have a building that's jutting in front of the church on American Legion or Windsor and Beverly. That's not a good design, right? So if anything, you want to flush street wall. So I hope that you all can consider that before you adopt that, consider the impacts on the neighborhood, and please hold Crossroads responsible for addressing the drainage situation on the street. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience that'd like to speak? Go ahead. Anybody else afterwards? Ron, we'll turn it over to you afterwards. Please go ahead.
Hi, I've never done this before. My name is Muzz Skillings. I'm a Teaneck resident for 37 years. I've seen many changes in Teaneck. Coming from New York,
I remember Cedar Lane, say around 1990, and one of my neighbors complaining about the traffic, and I was like, "This is traffic, please." But now it's traffic. It's traffic. I go up. I'm on Grange Road. I may not be what people may consider in an area that's affected, but that doesn't, how can I say this? Everywhere I drive, I'm affected because when I go down Cedar Lane, when I visit my neighbor Chris over there, I see a sea of red lights at a certain hour. There was a year I remember seeing Cedar Lane having rush hour, and I'm like, what's going on? So, I remember Cedar Lane when, how can I say this? It matched the rest of the town, meaning it was idyllic, it was a nice place to be, and now it's congested. I'm not sure what can remedy that, but I'm pretty convinced that the Crossroad project will only add to the issues. Everybody raised amazing points that I happen to agree with, but I just want to say and maybe emphasize, these are amazing people. Teaneck residents are special. It's different from the other towns. We're more involved. It attracts a certain personality type that I think is great. That's why I love living here. And I know you guys are probably under other considerations. You're considering other factors. The big company wants to come in and do something. Perhaps you're looking at data that suggests that it might be good for certain things. But this is something that the town, the people who live here, they're ready to eat whatever consequences because it's so bad. The development is so bad for everybody here that we're willing to eat the consequences if there are consequences. And it would be nice if it were up to us. And I don't know if it's a matter of you guys maybe reshifting how you consider things, but it would be awesome if this wasn't forced upon us because this is definitely something we don't want. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. See no other hands. We will go to Zoom. Mr. Tablemasher, what do you have for us tonight?
We got Tracy.
Tracy, if you can please come on and say your last name. First name.
Hi there. Thank you. Can you give me like a 30-second warning? Because I don't have a stopwatch. My name is Tracy Carcione. I live at Chestnut and North. Come Thursday, we'll have lived in Teaneck for 33 years. My husband and I are both blind. We like to walk on the sidewalks. We do not like to walk in the middle of the street. I know you have to clear the streets with the snow plows, but there are like giant mounds at the corners of North and Chestnut, and we can't cross North to get down to Cedar Lane or get over to Stop and Shop. I tried to like shovel, but it was like a huge mound of frozen snowballs, and it was hopeless. So the only thing we could do when we really have to get out is go out our neighbor's driveway or our driveway, walk like 80 to 100 feet, and go up somebody else's driveway. Mind we're walking in the middle of the street where cars are coming. There's very little space to move over and get out of the way. I don't know what you could do about it, but I pointed out to you that not having a place for pedestrians to get across at the corners is a problem. And now I want to talk about Crossroads. We are concerned about traffic because we walk down, we cross North and Alma Terrace all the time to get to Cedar Lane to do shopping, and we cross American Legion all the time to go over to Stop and Shop. So we're concerned about traffic. We'd really like to see these traffic studies that are supposed to happen. I hope they'll be made public. And we moved to Teaneck. Part of what we liked about it is that we could live close enough to walk easily down to the main business district, but it was quiet where we are. So we're very interested in the noise study that's supposed to be done too. I know this is all about affordable housing. My understanding is that there's 48 affordable housing units and 350 as much as the market will bear. So no wonder Crossroads is eager for this thing. I don't know what they mean by affordable housing. Is it like $2,000 a month versus like $5,000 a month? Because the rents I hear people paying are insane. And it seems to me, if you guys would just let go of your love of Crossroads, that we could find 48 places that people could live in Teaneck, and they might even be much more affordable. And I wouldn't mind seeing, a real, affordable
30
housing
seconds, please.
complex where most of it was affordable, because those guys might be taking the bus, like me. Was that my 30-second warning?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Do I have anything else to say? Oh, yeah, I'm also concerned that they could say, after we've signed the contract, we don't have room for that farmer's market, and so that's out of here. Ha 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 ha, suckers. That's it. Thank you.
Very much, Tracy. Lafayette?
Ron Schwartz, you got 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ron Schwartz, 46-year resident of Teaneck with my wife, Lisa. For those of you who are interested in an alternate vision for the redevelopment of Cedar Lane, come to a public forum this Monday night at the Rada Center, sponsored by the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations and housing expert Esther Sandra, who will present an alternate vision for the redevelopment and revitalization of Cedar Lane with housing involved. 8 o'clock on Monday night. Now, regarding the introduction of this ordinance for Crossroads tonight, my own personal opinion is that it is premature and frankly irresponsible for council members to be voting to introduce this ordinance tonight. There were many, many studies, and I will list them, that have not been done, that have to be done to protect the safety and welfare of the Teaneck residents. One, the independent traffic study, which we have been promised, with 477 additional cars at the intersection of Garrison and Cedar Lane coming with this project, has not been done. In fact, there is a resolution that is just hiring somebody to do it now. And it obviously would be a rush job. That hasn't been done, and so the ordinance should not be introduced. There's been no noise study that was required by the settlement agreement. There's been no utility study that was required by the settlement agreement. There is no school impact study that has been promised by several members of the council to be done before this would even be considered. Most importantly, there is no flood remediation plan in the redevelopment plan being introduced tonight. There was a plan that was suggested by the redeveloper, Crossroads, on December 9th, that involved leading water through more pipes, as Paula Rogovin talked about tonight. That plan must have been rejected by council members because it is not in the redevelopment plan that is being introduced tonight. In fact, there is no workable remediation of flooding plan in this plan tonight. At least 2 and possibly more council members on this council have said in public that they will not vote for this plan without a workable flood remediation plan to protect the residents of Beverly Road, Bell Avenue, and the surrounding areas. Those have not been done. There's been nothing about a pilot program indicated. There's nothing about what the developer is going to pay for the public land. There are 4 public lots that are being transferred to the developer at no cost, or is there an appraisal being done, or has an appraisal been done to say what the town is going to get out of this? That's the point. No appraisal has been done. We don't know what the pilot program is going to be. There is such lack of information about this Crossroads project that it would be premature and irresponsible to introduce this ordinance tonight. If you need to get an extension of the March 15.
Alex, it's Alex's phone. Please state your name.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Alex Kreitman. I've been a resident of Teaneck for the last 30 years. I live at 837 Bell Avenue. Whenever I talk, I tend to be, not necessarily heard because of, my voice and my baby face and slash I'm a female. So I wrote a letter because I also tend to ramble so that I'd be a little bit more constructive. So good evening, Town Council and Mayor. I understand that the towns here in New York City are attempting to build luxury buildings to attract young adults and couples and become a luxurious place to live. However, I must express the other population that is being left out and either forced to live in unkept low-income housing or attics converted into a room. Rent is at its highest it has ever been. More and more middle and low-income families are living in poorly kept low-income housing. The streets are on the streets or in shelters, which are honestly unsafe. The low-income population have been forgotten, left to the freezing cold weather, ultimately putting them at high risk for illness and death, as we recently saw in New York City. One of my neighbors has lived here for over 40 years. Their children have made a home here. Their children's children have made a home here. This is what Teaneck should represent, a home. I've seen so many family homes for sale and leaving town because Teaneck is starting to no longer feel like a home. More recently, during our last snowstorm, I and my parents were treated very disrespectfully by the police, including 3 police officers and the sergeant, and we were discriminated against as individuals with disabilities. We were told to park blocks away from our home or even a mile away so that the parking lot by our home could be plowed. This issue was presented to the town manager. However, I nor my parents, who have lived here for over 30 years, have ever been treated more poorly by the council or police in Teaneck. Please think about this long and hard. How do you want to represent Teaneck, knowing all of this information, and think about how are you able to sleep at night? Thank you for your time.
Haley Wanamaker. Haley, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Hallie Wanamaker, 148 Church Street, lived in Teaneck for 36 years. I'm just want to say something about democracy. All of you sitting up there have been elected by us, the people. And we have been saying to you for 3 years that we don't want this. I have heard maybe 1 or 2 people say they thought it was a good idea, and 99.9% of your people who elected you have said it's not. So I don't understand what's going on here. Are you representing us or are you representing Crossroads? I really feel like maybe there's something going on here that, you're supposed to be our representatives for what we want as taxpayers, as people contributing to this town. So I wanted to say that. I also wanted to say that March 2nd, Monday, March 2nd, the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations is putting forth an alternate vision of how we could both provide more housing and redevelop Cedar Lane. It's been developed by a very well-known housing expert, Esther Sandroff, who lived in Teaneck for like 40 years. And she has a whole other idea of how we could go about doing this, where we can, yes, we can redevelop Cedar Lane, and yes, we can do more housing, which we need. So everyone is invited to come to that Coalition of Neighborhood Association meeting on Monday, March 2nd at the Rada Center at 8 o'clock. Please come, please spread the word that, and the mayor and the deputy mayors have seen this plan and they like this plan. They thought it was great. So I'm really shocked that they're plunging forward with this despite meeting after meeting after meeting with us. And I mean, I feel like it was a joke. You guys weren't listening to us at all. What were you saying then if you thought this was such a great plan and then all of a sudden you're going back to Crossroads? It's really a slap in the face as a person who's really believes in democracy. Also, I just want to say, all the things that have been brought up, the thing what Paula Rogovin said, my goodness. So we're going to take a flooding problem on one side of town and put it on the other side of the town and make the tracks more dangerous where a train could derail and we could have the same thing of an explosion and kill many of our residents. That's just a crime that you would even consider this. And last but not least, everybody on this council seems so afraid of this quote unquote builder's remedy. Guys, get a spine, fight, stand up for the right thing. This is you're just standing up for Crossroads, a private company that's going to make a lot of money off our town. Putting buildings on a parking lot that we need when it snows 2 feet, we need a place to park our cars. You're
Thank you
giving
very-
away our parking lot.
Ally, please state your full name.
Hi, good evening, Allie Rosenthal, nearly 10-year Teaneck resident. I'd like to speak about the town's abysmal plowing performance, both during this storm and the previous one. As far as the previous one, the fact that the town never even attempted to plow curb to curb on most streets was extremely frustrating. Not only did this make it very hard to get through side streets when people were parked on them, but even made main roads had 10 feet of snow, losing turning lanes in places like westbound State Street at Queen Anne. It stayed like that for 3 weeks, unacceptable. The idea brought up tonight about alternate side of street parking could help address this. I think it would be a very good idea to implement that once the snow emergency is lifted so that people all park on one side of the street on even days so the plow can continue cleaning the other side of the street and switch to the other side on odd days so they can clean up the other side of the street. Now moving forward to this storm, what a disaster. My street wasn't plowed after 3 a.m. Monday morning until about the same time on Tuesday morning. I know other streets that hadn't been touched as of 7:30 a.m. today. The fact that Teaneck canceled school as early as they did showed that the town had no expectation of clearing the streets in a timely manner. They had 18 hours to clear them after the snow stopped. I wonder if any resident died because an ambulance couldn't reach them because the streets were in such a poor state for so many hours. We had out-of-town guests staying with us who were stranded by the storm. They were beyond shocked at how poorly the town managed the storm. Their daughter and new son-in-law had just moved to Teaneck last week. Not a good first impression. Today I saw 2 plows. One was parked in a very unsafe area on Windsor, right when at the bottom of the State Street Bridge. Not sure why I was sitting there. And the other one is driving a part of Queen Anne that could have used some more plowing or at least salting, and it was just driving, that's all. Then I saw some poor town employees shoveling the State Street Bridge. Do we not have snow blowers? As for what Ms. Hashmat mentioned about needing to replace the town's plows over the next few years, we cannot wait a few years to make improvements. If we don't have working equipment, then we need to lease working trucks ahead of storms. The bottom line is that the town needs to get their act together. We pay insanely high taxes and deserve better. There's more snow in the forecast. Our neighboring towns seem to have figured out how to do this. Not sure why Teaneck can't seem to do the same. And the excuse I heard from someone that Teaneck is bigger than those towns is ridiculous. I have lived in much larger cities and they were somehow able to manage the process. And the fact that you want to add more development when you can't even manage the current state of affairs is concerning and upsetting. The town needs to stop making excuses, stop striving for mediocrity, and figure out what needs to happen to improve things significantly before the next snow. Thank you.
Corey Frankel, you have time, 3 minutes to speak now.
Thank you. My name is Corey Frankel. I have lived in Teaneck for a little over a year now, and I would like to bring to the attention of the town council 2 correlated issues plaguing Ayers Court, which is 1 block away from the intersection of Queen Anne and State Street. There are many tenants of the apartments on Ayers Court, Hill Street, and Walraven Drive who have been struggling with an increasingly difficult parking situation. There are many couples, families, and individuals living in the so-called Teaneck Apartments community, and we have different schedules, and many of us need parking. We have jobs, classes, and errands that take place at any point during the day and during our busy weeks. Our proximity to a nucleus of businesses is a perk of living in this neighborhood. However, it also means that finding parking is a challenge every hour of every day. Sometimes it becomes necessary for us to park in municipal lots, and sometimes in the parking spots by the Chase Bank down the block. We used to have more spots, but in the past several months, those spots were converted into 2 hours parking spots during business hours. We get tickets because we can't go move our cars because we are taking care of children or attending remote classes. The recent blizzard exacerbated these parking issues. Ayers Court and Walraven Drive have not been sufficiently plowed. Cars and buses got stuck on the ice multiple times, presenting a danger to the lives and property of these residents and the Teaneck Township as a whole. Furthermore, the parking notices have been difficult to track. There's a lot of confusion amongst our community about who can park where and when. I would like to advocate for clearer communication of township parking regulations before handing out tickets to people who have nowhere to park their cars, and I implore you to please plow the small side streets housing many of your Teaneck residents. It would be greatly appreciated. I yield my remaining time.
Chuck Powers, 3 minutes.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Two quick things. One, tonight you're asked to once again approve an MOU between the borough of Leonia and Teaneck on the hope that we'll be able to work out all the issues associated with protected property in Leonia, where we are now suggesting again, as we have several times in the past, that we put our DPW facility and perhaps most of our recycle. We need someone to explain to the council and to the public tonight what the timeline is on that, why we think we can now handle all the issues that are identified actually in the MOU, which all suggest that there are an enormous set of problems we're going to have to get by to deal with putting that kind of device, that kind of facility on protected property. We need an update on that. Now I want to turn to the question of Crossroads. Once again, the entire township has told this council that they don't want the Crossroads plan and that there are options, and they want to have two opportunities next week to, on the one hand, look at an alternative, and then two, have another major discussion. Why in the world would we go ahead and approve tonight the introduction of an ordinance that has so many flaws in it, as you have heard about repeatedly tonight? And the reason always comes back to what our attorneys have told us is we have to do it, because otherwise we're going to subject ourselves to builders' remedies. Well, actually think about it. Builders don't have a right to put any of their new unwanted developments on public property. They have no right to do that. And they have no right to have any pilots associated, as we are about ready to hand to Crossroads. And no question about it that a builder's remedy will be a challenge to put into operation while we work out all the things that you've heard the public say they want tonight. But there is no reason to believe that handing a redevelopment plan to Crossroads tonight would not be a far greater risk, because of all the issues that Mr. Yuck talked about tonight in terms of the way in which Crossroads has treated us and the way in which they got in this position to be able to point to both a litigation and point to a state requirement to have.
All right. We have someone named iPhone. Please state your full name.
Hello, good night. My name is John Theus, Windsor Road in Sagamore. I've been a Teaneck resident for about 12 years. And the traffic on Windsor Road is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. From the time that I moved here till now, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I wanted the panel to know that I strongly oppose this development happening in Teaneck. all I see is problems after problems after problems. I don't know if you're aware of how this development will affect every municipality in Teaneck, including the police department and the fire department and the Board of Education. I am a strong supporter of training and training. Our police department don't have enough training to deal with this increase of new people coming in. If you think you have problems now with the Teaneck Police Department discriminating or pulling people over or issuing parking tickets, it's only going to calcify. It's only going to create more problems in our municipality. There'll be more lawsuits against the police department. The fire department will definitely not be able to keep up with the problems that's going to come with this development. And as far as Crossroads, the lights on Cedar Lane, especially the one with Garrison and Cedar Lane, that light is about 60 seconds. 60 seconds. As of right now, if there's just a little bit of traffic on Garrison and Cedar Lane, it'll take like 10 minutes just to get on Cedar Lane, just to make that left turn or right turn. So I strongly oppose this development. It's bad enough that we have the worst property. Our property taxes is out of control, absolutely out of control. Bergen County is out of control. The previous caller said that there are so many homes being put up for sale. She wasn't exaggerating. She was not exaggerating. You could kiss Teaneck goodbye. You might as well change the name to something else, because Teaneck is you might as well call it New York City. It's not even going to be a suburb anymore. It's not going to be a suburb anymore. I strongly oppose it, and I could speak for every.
Yeah, your time is up, John.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Brian Harlan Brooks.
Hello, my name is Brian Harlan Brooks. I live on 36 Garden Street in Teaneck, New Jersey. I hope that the council is hearing that the town that was made years and years ago in its creation was made for residential experience. We don't have thoroughfare, meaning the streets don't go all the way through. We have turns and cul-de-sacs. This is not made, the arteries, the foundation of the neighborhood is not made for large projects like Crossroads. I live on the west side of Teaneck, where there are already 2 large apartment buildings, and the traffic is beyond bearable. But beyond that traffic issue, going into places like Teaneck and State Street Plaza is almost impossible. You can't turn left into it if you're going towards Bergen Field. There are multiple traffic issues within Teaneck that are built for small town traffic that haven't been expanded. Basically, what I'm saying is that we haven't grown the town in an infrastructure perspective in order to accommodate larger and more transient things like apartment buildings. When you have large apartment buildings, you create a large group of people that are coming and going and renting for temporary amounts of time. We also don't have businesses that will attract people to spend money within Teaneck, but they will dump their trash here on the streets. They will walk through and move on without really caring for the town that has been created throughout the years that I have lived here. I grew up in Teaneck. I went to Teaneck High School. I moved away. I lived in Brooklyn. I lived in Chicago. I lived in Philly and moved back to Teaneck. I live in the home in which I grew up. The town has shifted. It takes me now, as long as it takes me to get from the George Washington Bridge, it takes me to get from the bridge in the middle of Teaneck to my block. It takes that long to get home because of all of the traffic that comes past Forest Avenue. And then you have to merge into the side. We all know that the streets are not made for that many cars and that much transit. It makes it very difficult, and it makes the town very unattractive for the high taxes, which will cause movement attrition and will change the shape, tenor, and community that we all have worked very hard to build here. Through all the things that we've been through over the last year, from COVID to the protests against Palestine, we have maintained a town unit because we have had communication and be able to reach directly to the council and have conversation and impact. It'll be disheartening to hear this many people say that they do not want something to say, we hear you, but we're doing it anyway. I yield the remainder of my time.
Michael Goldberg, 3 minutes.
Yeah, hi, this is this is not Michael Goldberg. This is Hildy Dillon, Chair of the Environmental Commission here in Teaneck. I share a Zoom with Michael, which is why his name came up and I didn't have the option to change my name. However, I'm listening to the residents, and as many have said about Crossroads, you've been hearing from this community now for 3 years. From many, I listen to the council meetings or I come in person. I've gone to many of the public meetings. I personally have not heard one person stand up and say, this is exactly what we want. You know, that these plans that have been proposed, even as they have evolved over time. But from an environmental perspective, just so the town understands, the Environmental Commission's job would be to review site plans once this project is approved to go forward. When the Crossroads Company actually issues the site plans, we would have an opportunity to review them, make recommendations, but we have no regulatory authority to say, no, we don't approve this. But in conversations with the members of the Environmental Commission, because this comes up during our meetings repeatedly, the current stormwater mitigation plan as one resident so accurately said, is moving the water from one side of this area to another area within the township and dumping the water or routing the water to the CSX tracks makes absolutely no environmental sense. And if that is what stands in this plan and it comes into a site plan, not only you may have problems with CSX ever accepting this plan, or the rail workers not standing up, as Paula had said, against this plan because it may impact the safety of those tracks. It's just not sound stormwater mitigation. So I really think that you need to listen to the plan that's proposed to you on Monday night. Somebody said, get a spine. Let's be a democratic, let's work democratically in Teaneck. The residents want a different option that makes sense, both for us as a community. We don't want to, we understand that there are certain limitations we have or requirements that we have to meet the state's requirements, but this is just a crummy plan. And the residents have been telling council this repeatedly for years. So I hope that you will consider
Your
that.
time is up, Hildy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Baker, you have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Margaret Baker, Urban Teaneck. I'm one of the victims of the mess that was put on Decatur Avenue. And I'm really feeling it for the rest of the residents of Teaneck. It's no fun having a building that high in your front door. And when I say front door, I mean front door. It has changed the neighborhood. It's not a neighborhood anymore. And I just hate to see other sections of Teaneck go through this. I'm willing to be the victim for the rest of Teaneck. When you put up this 6-story building in my front door, and it's been a living nightmare. So I really have been keeping up with what's going on, and I agree with all of you. And if you want more details, you can contact me. I'm a living victim of this development in Teaneck. And by the way, the second building is going up down Alfred. So Teaneck is no longer suburban Teaneck. It's urban, and pretty soon it'll be Little New York. So I just want to let you know I fully agree with you. I was not in favor of this, but of course, I couldn't get a meeting with the council. I guess my mouth is too big. But believe me, I will let you know what I think. You don't have to agree with me, but you will hear me. And Teaneck, with this building over here, I know it's not near many of you, but I know in some way it has affected you. And more buildings like this one out here, Teaneck is no longer
Mrs. Baker, your time is
Teaneck.
up. Thank you. Keith Kaplan, you're the last one. 3 minutes.
Hello, Keith Kaplan, Teaneck resident. I think Chuck Powers had a good point. There are other options that were available to Teaneck. Let's review a couple of them. In the 1940s, they wanted to put up apartment buildings. They said, absolutely not. That's not what we're going to have in Teaneck. There were a need for people. They were saying, we graduate Teaneck High School and we can't have a place here. There's 10,000 houses and that's it. And there was just tough luck until World War II came by and they said, we need a place for the GIs. They couldn't turn them away. So they built Ayers Court. And that's why we got the Ayers Court apartments. And that was it for a long time. The 60s came, they tried to do a little more. They wanted apartments up and down Cedar Lane. Absolutely not. The letters came pouring in. Those 2-story apartments you see on Cedar Lane, they called them skyscrapers. Going to change the town. We can't have this here. They screamed. They settled on 2 stories. You go through to the 80s, people screaming about getting duplexes. The same duplex that a certain state senator and former councilwoman lives in was fiercely opposed by everybody that worked here. That everybody that lived here can't have one of those duplexes. 1990s, you had Tennis Club Associates versus Teaneck. Literally the spot we're talking about tonight, demanding that they do not build in that spot where Stop and Shop is. You go forward, there's more opposition to Avalon, opposition to the places that were built. I sat on the planning board, I heard the opposition. Now look, you have a court case in New Jersey that says, according to the Mount Laurel Doctrine, you need these places. If you didn't want them in the Ayers Court area, you didn't want them in the Cedar Lane area, you didn't want them where Stop and Shop is, you didn't want them where the duplexes are, you didn't want them where the hotel is, and you didn't want them where Windsor is, where exactly did you want them? Chuck Powers said there were other options. Which ones existed that somebody said, this is great? Because if you say no to everything because you're holding off for that smart development, look, it just doesn't come. And then you can't be shocked when someone says a builder's remedy is going to force this on us. They're right. But this is what's happening. Uh, Look in the mirror, folks. You said no until you hit the wall. And now you're complaining you're getting a concussion. Good grief.
Ron, anybody else?
Keith, are you done?
I think I'm done.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Hearing no one else on Zoom. General welfare is now over. Before we go to the council, Mr. Attorney, is there any comments you have to make? I always forget about you. I apologize.
That's okay. Yeah, so I can answer some of the questions that were raised and respond to some of the
Mr. Mayor, I just saw a hand go up. If you're interested, and it's too late. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm sure some of the things I'm going to say are not going to be popular. I'm obviously paid though here to tell the mayor and township council the truth and not what makes people clap. It's going to take a few minutes, so bear with me. First is that there's a question at the very beginning about whether Colliers, if the council decides to retain them, would be reviewing the traffic study. Yes, that is exactly what we would be hiring them to do, to provide an independent analysis of the study that was drafted prepared by Crossroads. We'll also be doing our own independent study after the zoning is adopted, as we stated in our settlement agreement, before a redevelopment agreement is adopted and before any site plan is reviewed. Second, there were a number of comments about the stormwater flooding runoff. Crossroads has submitted a water remediation plan, which has been reviewed and confirmed by the township engineer. No water will be dumped on the CSX lines. We do not believe that the drainage plan proposed by Crossroads is going to affect CSX whatsoever. Currently, the stormwater runoff from Bell Ave and Beverly flows south across the municipal property beneath Cedar Lane, down American Legion Drive, and eventually discharges into the existing drainage swale located next to the railroad tracks. This is all part of the township's existing stormwater sewer system. Crossroads would be responsible for paying for this upgrade. Crossroads is proposing to add an additional pipe that will allow the stormwater to drain faster into the system, which is more than enough capacity to handle the runoff. In other words, more stormwater runoff will get into the system before it ever gets to the CSX tracks. Additionally, Crossroads' overall proposal for development will actually decrease the amount of impervious surface coverage by about 10 to 15% compared to what is currently there, which will mean even less stormwater runoff from the properties we currently see, because it'll just be able to go into the ground more easily than it currently has. So combined, that will mean that there's less runoff. Whatever runoff is there will drain faster, which should mean that in the end there will be no flooding whatsoever. And again, the township engineers have reviewed this plan. They believe this will be a massive improvement for the community. Third thing I want to respond to is one comment that really stuck out to me. I think more than anything else, which is about what would happen if there was a builder's remedy lawsuit. And the comment was specifically that it can't be worse than the Crossroads plan. If you hate Crossroads and the Crossroads plan, you cannot imagine what will happen with a builder's remedy lawsuit. If the township loses immunity, we don't just lose it at the Crossroads site. We lose it everywhere in town. What that means is that we have, specific for Crossroads, we have 72 affordable housing units done that we are required by law, by state law, to build. And anywhere in town that a builder comes in and says, I can build these 72 affordable housing units, it's going to mean that I have to build 500 units overall, but I'll get you the 72 units. A judge is going to approve it, and they're going to require us to build it. Doesn't matter if it's a skyscraper on a quarter acre of land, as long as they get the affordable housing units, that is all the judge is going to care about. They will approve it regardless, and we don't get any say over where it goes. We don't get any say as to what goes there, how it looks like, or anything like that. What makes it even worse is that all the benefits that we get are also gone. So we could easily be facing a situation where Crossroads is allowed to build basically exactly what they want, except they aren't required to provide the stormwater remediation, not required to provide the farmers market or all the other benefits that they've agreed to do as part of the redevelopment plan. Again, the only thing a judge is going to care about is whether they will build the affordable housing units that we're required to approve without giving us any say whatsoever with the zoning requirements. And then the icing on the cake is we then have to pay their legal fees for the privilege of them getting to do this. I heard a lot of comments tonight about democracy and that somehow approval of this project is anti-democratic. The approval of this project is not a rejection of the opinions and ideas of the residents, many of which have been incorporated into the plan over the last few years, as we've heard from you. This, what is on the table tonight, is not approval of the Crossroads project itself. The approval of this zoning is the result of a democratically elected governor, legislature making statewide policy decisions as to how our affordable housing is developed. TNEC voted over a year ago, it was over a year ago now, to participate in this process so that we could remain in control of our own zoning. We face that builder's remedy lawsuit. We'll see the same number of units, but with no control over where they go, what they look like, and we won't get any public benefits with it. No studies, no drainage infrastructure, just units. There's no question, I've heard from both the council and members of the public, that this is an awful situation. Nobody is happy about this. Nobody has a love affair with Crossroads, by what one resident said. We do not have any other option, which is the entire point of the law that the state passed. The entire point was to remove those options and take them away from us. So they want to provide a uniform fixed deadline that allows or that requires that affordable housing gets built no matter how many people complain about it. Took it out of our hands by passing this law the way they did. There is no extension that we can get. We have until March 16th, and that is the end of that's the deadline that we have. And if we don't meet that, again, we lose our immunity. Again, I know this is unpopular. I apologize for that. I would much rather be telling you guys all something that you want, what you guys want to hear. We were all, the council, the mayor and council, making the best of a bad situation. That is realistically all we can do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Excuse me. Do you want to leave? No one did that to whoever was hissing. Do not do that to anybody else. Councilman Gober?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So let me first start by saying I'm not against everything. There are circumstances in a world that I might have sat up here and said yes to some of these projects, but none of those circumstances have been met. Supposedly, we have control. So where's the control when we can't make changes to anything? When we hold community meetings after the redevelopment plan is introduced and nothing can get changed as a result. We are the ones who vote on these projects, not Crossroads. We serve TNEC. So why are we not allowed to make changes to overlay zones or redevelopment plans without developers' permission? We have a responsibility to make sure that what we vote on protects the people we serve, no matter where they live. So why is asking questions so terrible? Why are the answers given to us as if we can't read? The traffic study. I can read. On page 16 of the Stop and Shop Settlement Agreement, it requires the study to conclude, quote, the Crossroads project will result in no degradation in existing levels of service or function. That is the same settlement agreement that Mr. Schwartz held up in this room the day it was walked in. That does not allow us to approve a plan that pushes any discussions about satisfactory levels of improvement into the compliance section of the redevelopment agreement. It defeats the purpose of zoning if the studies can't be changed to address it in the plan. Why is the settlement required then? That is why the settlement required the plan to be submitted to write the plan, not as an afterthought. What the February 2026 traffic study actually concludes is, quote, it is the professional opinion of dynamic traffic that the adjacent street system will not experience any significant degradation. It's not the same thing as no degradation. I can read. I don't need a subject matter expert to tell me the difference between no degradation and no significant degradation. I'll ask my own questions. I never blindly trust. I always verify. Thank you, Dr. Powers, Councilman Stone, and Dr. Toffler for teaching me that. By the way, did anyone notice that the parking garage will have 590 spots? The traffic analysis says 590. The redevelopment plan, minimum of 450. So now we know 590 spots in the parking garage in front of Chris Brown and Phil Yuck's house. The drainage study. I read the drainage study too. The current plan does not include the detention tank that was suggested as a part of phase 2. That slowly moves the water from the culverts to when it fills at a controlled rate. Instead, on December 9th, the developer stood here and said that it's impractical. So why would detention be impractical? Because the only place to put it is the exact location that the 94 units and 590 spots is slated to be built. You cannot easily build a multi-story parking garage on top of a 100,000-gallon tank. That the township has completed every other phase of that work, so I want to thank the manager. I know it's been very stressful. Instead of detention, the plan has apparently been agreed upon, also in the agreement, between Crossroads and the township, I'm not sure who agreed on that, to 7 parallel pipes, noticeably only at the proposed construction sites, perhaps to push the water away from the future buildings. And how is that going to work with the phasing requirement of the 2022 settlement? That means C and B are not built at the same time. This plan requires the building in the Stop and Shop parking lot and the Beverly Avenue lot to be built at the same time. Where exactly are people going to be parking for Cedar Lane, let alone for Stop and Shop? That seems like business disruption to me. We're not allowed to make that happen. We've all heard about the 90-degree bend in the pipe, the sharp curve that's critical to the flooding problem. So instead of not getting rid of that, we're adding 7. Those 7 pipes, yes, they meet the 15.1% flow rate requirement, but they do so by delivering 5,755.46 cubic feet per second of water towards American Legion Drive into the existing pipe that is not being expanded and ending at Terhune. We were explicitly told, and can all read, the project does not enlarge or modify the stormwater pipe that currently conveys water to the swale. The system will continue to operate within the existing downstream pipe capacity. Every engineering study shows that the ground is completely flat and saturated with a high water table. So if you put 7 massive pipes to force 15% more water into a flat saturated area, the downstream is not being expanded. Where's the water going to go? Lastly, the drainage study actually says increasing capacity south of Cedar Lane is not anticipated to be necessary as the existing infrastructure in that area appears to have adequate capacity. Everything is modeled to justify the approval. The moment the pipe reaches the section south of Cedar, where all of that accumulated flood ends, it's got to find its way somewhere. They stopped analyzing the data, which is why I asked for that data today before the redevelopment agreement, before the redevelopment plan. I got told to wait for the redevelopment agreement. So I'm asking directly, show us the hydraulic model for the pipe south of Cedar Lane to Terhune that shows why it appears to be adequate, that 5,755 cubic square feet load is safe. And if they can't produce it, this project has no business being approved yet. That's my fiduciary responsibility. I don't have to wait for anything else. I have to protect my residents now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As always, I want to start off by thanking all of our residents for coming out and participating tonight. When it comes to development, like I said at our last council meeting, I will be voting no on Crossroads, no on Regina's, and I have to abstain on the West Englewood Avenue project due to a campaign contribution, but I do support a number of the other projects in town. And when it comes to snow, I'm not going to let my manager and my mayor fall on this sword alone, because a lot of our residents are complaining about snow removal, and they are right. I agree with them, because there is always room for improvement, and we need to do a better job of snow removal in Teaneck because it affects our public safety, which must always come first, especially on our roads and in our neighborhoods. Now, before I elaborate a little on why this keeps happening in Teaneck, I do want to say thank you to our DPW and our manager and everyone who works for the township who is working so hard to help improve the situation, because it's not an easy job and it comes with a lot of challenges. So thank you to our staff for all of your hard work, because it's not easy. Okay, in a nutshell, our equipment is really old and keeps breaking down. Our DPW trucks on average are more than 20 years old and need to be replaced. A lot of our other DPW equipment is also very old and needs to be replaced. And the parts for this equipment and the parts for our trucks also keep breaking down as well, which is why we need to stay on top of ordering parts when our equipment breaks down. And we have to continue to purchase new trucks and new equipment every year going forward if we are going to solve this problem. Now, this is not an excuse. I'm not making excuses because I agree that we all have to do a better job of snow removal during snowstorms, and that goes for me too. But we also have had a very harsh winter with historic amounts of snowfall, and unfortunately, there is even more snow in the forecast for this upcoming Monday, 8 inches. So we have to get ready for that, as well as we try to continue to remove the snow and ice that is already on our local roads. But I know how hard our staff is working on this, and I do thank them all from the bottom of my heart for all of their work. But also, in addition, budget season is upon us. And while we talk about taxes and improving services, it is important that we keep the needs of our DPW and the equipment they need in mind as we debate the budget, because budgets are about priorities, and our DPW and public safety must always remain a top priority for us, and it does. And that's why it is also so very important that residents please take note of the memorandum of understanding that is on the agenda later tonight that we have with the Borough of Leonia for a possible new joint DPW facility site on the border of Leonia and Teaneck by Overpeck Park, near where the old dinosaur exhibit used to be located. Building a new DPW site for our residents and our employees is a can that has been kicked down the road in Teaneck for several decades, and the time to act is long overdue. So I look forward to seeing where that memorandum of understanding between our two towns actually takes us, because that is just the first step in a very long process, but it's an important step. And Mr. Mayor, there is a lot more I would like to say, but it's getting late, and I think that's my time.
I appreciate
Thank you,
that
sir.
and agree with everything you said. Councilman G, did you want to speak?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll keep it brief. I'm not going to read any prepared remarks, but I do want to acknowledge everyone that came in and spoke out about the development. I've said this before. I have grappled with this for a very long time. I don't love the way that we came to this. I don't like the March 15th deadline that we're being rushed to make decisions by. I don't like the idea of builder's remedy. I don't know what that, I've heard several different things about what it really means and, what it might look like. I think what I'm hearing residents say is that they want us to roll the dice on that and potentially take on that risk. I don't know if I'm there either, but what I would say is that I'm willing to potentially table this until we have that community forum and until we get those the review of that impact study from Colliers so that we have a little bit more information to make an informed decision. But again, like I won't speak for everyone. I don't love the plans as they stand. I wish we had more time to get it right. I love Esther Sandroff's plan. It's fantastic. It really is. I think the kind of plan that we should be going for that really aligns with our master plan, but we don't have enough time to play that out. How do we get 100, I think, what is it, 24 affordable housing units using that plan? What does that look like? Could we negotiate that with fair share? We just don't have time to do that by March 15th. And that's part of why they had these deadlines, because they want us to move quickly. So that is what we're grappling with. We know it's not perfect, but we have to meet these deadlines. We have to help design more affordable housing. And this is coming from the state. It's state mandated. We don't have the pleasure to say we get to keep Teaneck the way we want to keep Teaneck. These are decisions being pushed on us by the state. And so that is what we're grappling with. I don't want you to think that all 7 of us are on the dais enjoying making these decisions. These are really tough decisions, and many of us agree with many of the things that you were saying. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. I hear you. Again, I'm willing to potentially table it if I can get the support from enough of my colleagues so that we can hear from the community and that we can review those studies.
If that's the motion, I would second that.
And then I just, as it relates to the snow, I just want to agree with my colleagues that we had a really, really rough go at it with this blizzard. Again, this is the worst blizzard we've had in 30 years. No excuses. We understand that we have limitations with some of our trucks, and our town manager and our DPW is working really hard to address that with short-term solutions, but they're also thinking further out with long-term solutions. How do we make sure that this never happens again? And so while I know it's been really tough, I do want to just I promise you that our town manager and our DPW have been working non-stop. I mean, all of us have been sending messages, sending emails non-stop, and she goes through hundreds and hundreds of emails, and I promise you she reads every single one, and she won't stop until they're all addressed. So please be patient with us. I know it hasn't been perfect, but they really, really are doing everything in their power to make sure that all of our snow issues are going to be addressed. Thank you.
I want to also thank neighbors for coming out tonight, and it was very important to hear from everyone. Regarding Crossroads, I have been really an advocate for community meetings, an advocate for analysis of impact studies, because we need to know how does every development impact where we are, what we do, our schools, traffic, New Jersey Transit, we have not had a New Jersey Transit analysis in almost 10 years. So, how can we talk about bringing hundreds of units into our community and not speak to New Jersey Transit? To me, that's like a no-brainer. So essentially, many things that many of you have said tonight, I'm in agreement with. Many of you have reached out to me individually, and I think how I feel about specifically Crossroads. I think that it was a flawed plan. I think that the housing element was flawed because it's not indicative of all housing types. It left out ADUs. It doesn't speak to resales. And how can you build a community when you don't have home ownership? When you have just 100% rentals? The National Association of Realtors speaks to the fact that communities are built by home ownership. So even if they're condominiums, you have commitment from people that are living in our communities and want to be invested into our communities. So I hear everything that's been said tonight, and I too have asked my colleagues and our attorneys if there's any way we can table this until after the Collier's analysis so that we can all see clearly. We can all have an independent engineering firm confirm all the concerns that we all have until after the actual community meeting that we all feel, I personally feel, is important to hear from community. But I just want to say that, I hear what you're all saying. I feel exactly what's being said. I think it's important to talk about these things and not to operate in fear. I was not elected to be driven by fear. And things like builders remedy and lawsuits. I mean, if we had a nickel for every time we heard about being sued, we would all be wealthy. But I just want to say, before any governing body, casts a vote that shapes the future of this community, of our township, we carry a responsibility that goes far beyond a simple yes or no. Our obligation is to ensure that every decision is informed, it's transparent, and it's grounded in the real impacts it will have on the people we serve. Impact study analysis is not a formality, it is a safeguard. It allows us to understand how a proposed development will affect traffic, schools, infrastructure, public safety, environmental conditions, and the overall character of our neighborhoods. Without that analysis, we are not planning, we are guessing, and our residents deserve better. Equally important are meaningful community meetings. Development does not happen in a vacuum. It happens where families live, where small businesses operate, and where generations have built their lives. Community engagement ensures that residents are not just observers of change, but they actually participate in shaping it, listening to concerns, answering questions, and sharing accurate information builds trust, and trust is the foundation of good governance. I think the problem with this development is that it has been enshrined in a lot of distrust, and we have to get in front of that. Taking the time for thorough review and public dialogue does not slow progress, it strengthens it. When we understand the full impact and bring the community into the conversation, we create better projects, fewer conflicts, and outcomes that reflect shared values rather than rushed decisions. And that's how we all have been feeling, that we have a gun to our heads and we have to make decisions to protect the township. That's exactly how we oftentimes sit in meetings and feel that way. As leaders, however, our role is not simply to approve or deny development. Our role is to steward growth responsibly, balancing opportunity with accountability and vision with due diligence. Before any vote is taken, we owe it to our residents to ask, have we studied the impacts carefully? Have we listened openly? And have we created space for the community to be a part of the process? So I just want to end with this, that I know this blizzard was very difficult. I have confidence, however, in our town manager, in our DPW, and our township staff in terms of getting it right. Just bear with us, understand that we all want safe streets and so forth. Thank you.
So I want to thank the DPW for all the work that they've done. For anyone who's not aware, they've been working 12-hour shifts on and 12 off with cots set up at the Rota Center because they couldn't go home. And I don't know, I assume a lot of the people in this room remember the blizzard of 96. I do. I was living with my parents and we had 4 cars, 4 working adults, and I used to come home from work at 10 o'clock at night, and we would all pull our cars out of the driveway and put them back in the order that we were leaving for work the next day, because you could not pass more than 1 car on the street. And so the fact that we're not 2 days out from this, and the manager was able to answer 350 emails today of people who were having issues in front of their house, through the mayor, and clear up, I think, all of their problems at this point, to me is remarkable. Social media definitely has its downs, but it also has its ups. If anybody is still having an issue with snow, they should reach out. I am very happy that we're adding equipment to the capital budget this year, and I hope that my colleagues will vote unanimously to approve the capital budget this year because it's very important. I'm not sure what Dr. Powers was referring to, but Resolution 18/2026 is the most exciting piece of legislation that we've passed here since I've been here. The fact that we were able to come up with an MOU with Leonia to lease 7 acres from them right next door to their DPW property, acres that are now being used by Downs Tree Service, we're going to be able to build a safe and warm new facility for our DPW workers who have been working under terrible conditions for way too long. We'll also be able to store our equipment indoors so that it doesn't get destroyed by the elements. So I cannot wait to vote for this. I am hoping that the building goes very quickly, and that we're able to provide them a new home that they so well deserve. Crossroads, we have a deadline. The Democratic legislature in New Jersey sent Governor Murphy a bill. There is a shortage of housing in this country and in this state, and there is a shortage of affordable housing. And municipalities were going through the steps of approving developments that never got built. And they said, we're giving you a deadline. We're giving you until March 15th. And you need to pass your zoning on all of these, a certain number of developments by then. And that's where we are now. And as much as I would like to say, let's table and let's ask, if we don't approve the introduction of this ordinance tonight, we will not be able to pass it by the next meeting. I am so sorry for anybody that lives near here who will be affected. But we also need to not make up stories about people dying on trains or moving. When we're saying 10 feet from the property line, Paula, stop. When we're saying moving 10 feet from the property line instead of 15 feet from the curb line, we're saying exactly the same thing. We're not removing sidewalks from Teaneck. We have to listen to facts. So drainage right now goes from the north side of the proposed development underneath Cedar Lane and comes out to a swell there. What the developer would need to do with the approval of the township engineer, she's reviewed this and she's okay with it, is to either expand that pipe or put piping next to it so that the same amount of water would be drained, but it would be pulled from the Bell Avenue area quicker. There would be more of a release from that area, but all the water still goes to the same place. So we can discuss not being happy with a development, but we need to tell the truth and we need to get the facts out there. For anybody who's willing to say a developer's remedy lawsuit is nothing and take a risk and be brave, I don't think they fully understand what this will open up the town to, the resources, the finances that it will drain from us, and what types of buildings it will allow in this town with zero zoning control. It's terrifying. There were, I don't know how many towns total, a good number of them were from Bergen County. The local leaders of responsible planning, led by the mayor of Montvale, tried to fight this whole process, and they made it all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court denied an emergency injunction, and these municipalities need to pass their zoning still by March 15th. This is the hand that the state of New Jersey, the democratically elected Democratic state of New Jersey, dealt us. And this is what they're holding us to. So while I understand the urge to vote to table this, it's not going to change anything. We still have a strict deadline from the state.
Thank you very much. Deputy, Councilwoman G, I heard your motion. I'll ask the attorney to discuss the ramifications of that shortly as soon as I finish a few quick comments. Many of the concerns tonight were very valid. I want to, I believe a bad settlement is always better than a good trial outcome. And I'm going to agree with Holly. I'm going to fall to my spine. I'm not going to have a spine when it comes to the state legislator, to the governor on this bill. I can sit here and I can improve the plan that we're forced to, or we can risk a much larger lawsuit. I can improve a plan that gives the drainage that we need, or we can improve a plan that gets us nothing, a plan that gives us affordable housing, or a plan that can do whatever they want to get that affordable housing. So I am looking at the entire town's pockets, and I'm going to fold my cards and settle. I am very familiar with the plan laid out by Esther Sandroff, who is a renowned affordable housing leader, especially in New York City, where I work. I hope to one day know as much as she's forgotten as it relates to affordable housing. I'll continue to work on that plan. That's a 10-year plan. That plan, unfortunately, does not fit within this deadline. I believe that plan has lots of merits up and down Cedar Lane, and I look forward to continue having that conversation. But I will be voting for this in accordance with the rules of the state of New Jersey legislator and the governor's bill. With that, if it's all right, Mr. Attorney, can you just describe the pros, cons, or whatnot as it relates to tabling that ordinance?
So if the ordinance is tabled tonight, the next meeting that we could put it on for is the March 10th agenda. The next meeting after that would be on March 16th, which is the deadline for us to adopt to comply with the state statute. We're required to provide with a 10-day notice period, so if it's tabled until that next meeting, then we would not be able to comply with those requirements. I'd also just point out that this is introduction of the ordinance. It's not the final adoption. We'll have the Collier's report, assuming council agrees to hire Collier's. We would have the report by Friday, and so the council would have time to consider it for adopting or not adopting this ordinance. But introducing it tonight would allow us to stay on track with meeting our deadlines.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
My understanding, Scott, is that there's another, aren't we also delaying another with the 54 Englewood project? Isn't that going to be after the 16th?
So the 54 West Englewood project is in a different situation in that the developer there has agreed, also proactively agreed to get to allow us to adopt after the deadline without filing for a builder's remedy lawsuit. The reason why they agreed to do that is because there was, as the council knows, there was a community meeting last week, and so there were changes that were being made. They're still being made to their plan as a result of that. And so because we're working with them, it's not a finalized plan yet. It's just not ready for adoption. So because of that, they were willing to agree to allow us to go past that. We're not in the same position here though with
right. But I guess my point is by the time they tried to file a suit, we would have already had the second meeting anyway, right? So like it would be moot.
There's no guarantee that, when the clock strikes midnight on going into March 17th, they're entitled, Crossroads would be entitled to file, whatever they want. Same with, honestly, same with Stop and Shop, because we have the separate settlement agreement with them as well.
But I guess my point is, if we had our second reading within 2 weeks of that, then so what?
So what is the court could say that you violated it, you adopted it, but it was too late. We don't know what a judge is going to say. They could easily say, yes, you adopted it, but it was too late. Therefore, it's no good anymore. And so, they're entitled to builders you lose your immunity because you didn't meet the deadline.
I guess we'll address that as we get over to the ordinances. Is that all right, Mr. Councilman G?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we'll head over to the rest of the meeting. Ms. Clerk, I'll turn that over to you, and I believe we go with raffles, minutes, resolutions, consent agenda. And we'll pull. Yeah, that's after ordinance.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, and the resolutions and the bill list in the amount of?
Before we proceed, I'm going to ask if you can do a motion to amend the council meeting schedule, a resolution to amend it from the budget meeting from 17th to 16th.
Fine, I'll make that motion to move the meeting from the 17th to the 16th as a Monday. And a second on that? Seconded. Do we want a roll call?
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Abstain.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
That's going to be resolution 128. And also I'm going to ask if you guys can do a motion to add the resolution for Colliers and then also for Thomas Hannaran on to the.
Yes, so as presented, I'll make that motion. Is there a second on those two, that motion? Is that one or two resolutions? I'm sorry.
It's going to be two resolutions.
I'll make a motion on both those resolutions as described by the attorney. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call on that, please, Ms. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay. Consent agenda. So we have two raffles, 4 sets of minutes, resolutions 111-2026 to 130-2026. A bill list of $5,214,924.03.
Thank you very much. Is anyone pulling, would like to pull anything? Well,
114.
114, is that what we said? I'm sorry, 114?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? With that, I'll make a motion to approve everything else. Is there a second? Second, roll call, please.
And just so you guys know, for resolution 122 and 123, they're appointment resolutions for PPRAV. There's only one spot open there, so you have to vote yes on only one of them.
And that's which to 122 and 123?
Yes, so
Thank-
122 is for Michael Dodds and 123 is for Yael Geller.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
All right. I'm gonna do what I did last time. So I'm gonna go through it and then I'll send you the list. So yes on 111, but specifically no on the CSX payment. I'll send you that PO number, but yes on everything else except for that one. Abstain on 112. Yes on 113. She pulled 114. Yes on 115. No on 116. Yes on 117. Abstain on 118 because I'm unsure about a potential conflict. Yes on 119. No on 120. Yes on 121. Yes on 123. Abstain on 122. Abstain on 124 because I have no idea who that is. No on 125. Yes on 126. Yes on 127 and abstain on the bills list.
123.
I abstained. I said yes on 123 and no and abstain on 122.
126 and 127, what'd you say?
I said yes.
Yes on both. Thank you very much. And 120 and 29, sorry, those are the add-ons.
Yes.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
And abstain on the bills list.
I'm sorry, what did you say for 122?
Abstain. I voted yes on 123 and abstained on 122.
Councilman Pagan,
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm a no on 112. I'm abstaining on 122. I'm a yes on 123. And I'm a yes on everything else.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
You have to, sorry,
One at the others.
122 to 123, it's one or the other, yes, no's, or abstains, sorry. It's two applicants for one position. Michael
Wait.
Rhodes is 122 and Yael Geller is 123.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Yes to, hold on. Yes to 120.
On to 114, which is you.
Yeah, I don't know, is it Scott? Can you talk us through this?
This is the unfreezing of the grant funds.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head how many years ago was there was a the former township manager gave an instruction to ISA to freeze the funds, the freeze the expending the grant funds. There's been a request now by the which is essentially akin to like an executive order sort of thing. There's been a request by the the committees to unfreeze the money so they can get reimbursed for money that has been spent that they're entitled to. There was a question about whether or not we needed a resolution to do this, or if ESA could just start giving out the money upon proper documentation. After discussing with him, we decided the cleaner, better approach was to have an official action by the council, just to authorize him to do so and make sure that all funds that are paid out are in accordance with established practices, to make sure there's documentation and backup on all and all that. So just a cleaner way of unfreezing this money than just him just doing it.
My understanding is that these grant funds were initially for the Garden to Nature project, which was a joint project. Since we've decoupled them, to me, it would seem that they're no longer eligible to receive these funds.
The funds have already been issued to the township, and so whether or not the project goes, the project either whole or in part goes forward, those funds are still able to be spent, just because they've already been paid out by the state.
But if the Garden to Nurture project is non-existent anymore, then what are we allowed to use the funds for? Could we use them for something else?
They can only be used for what the application was originally for, and so that process, whether it's completed or not, they're still entitled to use it for the process of making their applications and so forth to the township.
So you're saying even though they no longer exist as a joint initiative, they can still use these funds? That doesn't make sense to me.
They can use it for, I'll say, for things that have already been incurred as part of their the application process. So they, for the last 2 or so years or 3 years, I'm not sure exactly how many years it's been since it was frozen, before it became decoupled and before it no longer existed, they were still expending money under the assumption that they would be reimbursed for it. So if we hadn't frozen their funds, they would have been paid out all along, and so this is to reimburse them for the money that they would have gotten along the way.
Councilman G, I believe Deputy Mayor Organ wanted to make a comment.
So I think a lot of the money they got before they even coupled, and the balances. So enslaved African has $622.65, and Holocaust has $17,825.47. So they were the CFO was keeping track of how much each spent from their portion over time.
What is your pleasure, Councilman G, on this?
Oh yeah, that was it. Thank you. We can
You're making that motion?
Sure. So moved.
Second that. Roll call, Ms. Clerk, please, on 114.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
I'm abstaining because we didn't really freeze the funds.
Councilman Begon,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
No.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
I think I'm going to abstain because I don't think we froze the funds. I mean, we're voting on something that was never voted to have happened by the prior council, so I'm not quite clear on that. So I'm going to abstain.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
3 yeses.
Okay, with that, we have a motion to adjourn. That's a joke. That's okay. On to ordinances. It did pass.
It has 3.
3-1 on a resolution. Good.
We have 3 yeses, 2 abstain, and 1 no.
It does not pass.
That's what I thought.
It's majority.
Okay, it doesn't pass.
Either way, if the council's position is that the money was never frozen, then it can be paid out either way, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter, in that.
Fine.
This was, we thought, a cleaner way of doing it, but.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Clerk, we're gonna go with two ordinances. We'll do them individually and discuss and vote on them individually. If you can please go ahead with the ordinance 15, then to 16.
Sure. Just before we move on with the changing of the budget meeting now being on the 16th, if these two ordinances are introduced tonight, do you want to have the public hearing on March 16th?
What, Mr. Clerk, Mr. Attorney, is that fine? Is that your question? We're good?
Yeah, but, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Council's.
You mean because it's a budget meeting? Yeah, we're holding that on for action. We do want to take action, especially that day specifically.
Okay, so the two ordinances for introduction is ordinance 15-2026, amending chapter 33 of the Township of Teaneck to address the requirements of the Fair Housing Act, the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, and to comply with the town's round 4 affordable housing obligations. And then ordinance 16-2026 is adopting the Cedar Lane CBD redevelopment plan in furtherance of the redevelopment of block 819, lots 1, 14, 16, and 17, block 707, lots 1 through 5, block 705, lot 4.01, as shown on the tax map of the Township of Teaneck in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A 12A-1.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance, to introduce ordinance number 15.
Second.
Councilwoman Goldberg. Just on 15.
Just on 15.
Just on 15.
Yes, on 15.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jake.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Ordinance number 16. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance to introduce.
Mr. Mayor, we never voted on my motion earlier. To amend.
Happy to. Please go ahead and make the motion again.
Make a motion to table this.
Second.
Okay, there's a second.
I'd like to amend that to include the hydraulic study for the pipe capacity south of Cedar.
Second.
Okay.
And hydraulics.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're asking.
It means it won't be ready by the next meeting.
I understand.
I want the pipe, I want to see if they're claiming that the pipe doesn't need to be expanded and they're putting all that extra water down there, I want to see that they didn't study that pipe. So I'm asking for the study to show me that the pipe's expanded.
Hold on a second. So, okay, that can't be an amendment of that vote because one is the table and one is to change the substance of it. So there's.
Right,
So
Deputy,
what's your-
Councilmember G, what was your request in your motion?
I had wanted to table it until after we got the Collier study and had the community meeting.
So can't we have Colliers do that analysis for the drainage since they're already going to be analyzing?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if they can do that. I don't know when they can do that by. There's no way for me to give you that answer. So I don't think that's a proper way of amending this unless the phrase is that this is going to be tabled until after all studies are completed. Then there's no way to the two of them can't be tied like that. So.
Okay, so that goes to Councilwoman G. I'm sorry, follow the rules of tabling. Does that go to Councilwoman G? Or is there a vote on what would be the proper process?
The question.
We can't, my motion we can't do?
Unless the motion to the initial motion is to table until after, I'm sorry, unless the motion to amend it is to table it until after all studies have been completed.
I'm literally only asking about the drainage hydraulic study. So that's all I'm asking for.
After the drainage hydraulic study. I don't believe there is a requirement in here that we.
Right, they're saying that all of that 7 pipes are going into one tiny pipe
It's
that's
not.
not being expanded. That's why I'm asking. I want to know that I want to see the pipe capacity there. Why are they saying that it can adequately accept the increase in flow and velocity? That's why I'm asking for the study. It just says, I have the quote, appears to be adequate. That's why I'm asking for it. So if it can't be done, it can't be done, but that's my ask. And
I don't think the two can be tied in that way. No,
then, so then I'll withdraw my motion. I guess.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman G, your motion is on. It was seconded, and that is to table this matter. Did I say that right, Mr. Attorney? Was that
Yeah.
until when? Can we properly phrase that?
Until March 10th,
It's, sorry?
until the next meeting on March 10th.
And Councilwoman G, that's with the assumption that we are going to be able to have the analysis from Colliers, and we will have had the community meeting completed.
And everyone's fully aware that there is no possible way that this could be then voted on by the 15th.
Oh, legally, I don't believe, right? Is that the case?
It's not possible. It's not possible for us.
Legal, I'm saying legally, if it can't be done by the 16th?
No, not if it's tabled to the 10th, certainly not. No.
Thank you. Okay.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
I'm a yes to table.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes, the table.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes to table.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
Absolutely not.
So it's tabled to March 10th.
Excellent. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Definitely.
Thank you. Second.
Meeting adjourned at 10:53 p.m.
That's right.